Chapter 43:18. Lord Ruler, we are just an ordinary family. We don't have anything good to entertain you with, so we'll treat you to a cup of tea to quench your thirst. A white-haired old man, holding a walking stick in one hand and a teacup in the other, staggered over. Thank you. Qin Feiyang hurriedly stepped forward and took the teacup. The old man looked at Qin Feiyang expectantly, but he was also a little nervous. Because this was a very ordinary tea leaf. He was afraid that Qin Feiyang wouldn't like it. Qin Feiyang put it to the tip of his nose and smelled it. With his many years of experience in tea, he only needed to smell it to know that this tea was very ordinary. However, not only did he not dislike it, he even drank it with relish. This tea was really bitter and astringent. But, to him, this should be the most delicious tea he had ever drunk in his life. You don't dislike it, right? The old man asked nervously. How could that be? It's very fragrant and delicious. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled, returning the teacup to the old man. At this moment, what he was drinking was not tea, but everyone's heart for him. The old man was stunned. He took the teacup and looked at the remaining tea in it, his eyes full of suspicion. Very fragrant. Very delicious. Impossible. He knew this tea leaf. It was very, very ordinary. Qin Feiyang looked at the old man and said with a smile, Old man, I'll go to Longqin to have a chat first. Okay. The old man nodded. Big brother, we'll take you there. A group of youths rushed in front and ran happily towards the stream. The old man looked at Qin Feiyang's back and lowered his head to look at the teacup in his hand again. He couldn't help but put it to his mouth and taste the remaining tea. It was very bitter and astringent. It tasted exactly the same as when he drank it in the past. How could this be good? The old man raised his head again and looked at Qin Feiyang's back. A trace of a smile appeared on his face as he muttered, the people of Black Tortoise World are really lucky to have such a good ruler. Yes. The surrounding villagers also nodded. By the stream. Sister Long, Big Brother is looking for you. A group of youths ran to the stream and surrounded Longqin, giggling. Got it. Longqin patted the two children's heads and looked up at Qin Feiyang. What's the matter? Qin Feiyang glanced at the group of children. Longqin understood. Looking at the group of children, he waved his hand and said, You guys go play first. All right. Big brother, I'm telling you, you can't bully Sister Long. If you bully her, we will beat you up. One of them summoned his courage, waved his small fist, and looked at Qin Feiyang fiercely and said. After she finished speaking, she made a face at Qin Feiyang and ran off into the distance with the other children. How lively. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He looked at Longqin and said, I didn't expect you to be so popular now. Of course. Longqin smiled proudly. She turned around and sat on the grass. She was barefooted as she swayed in the stream. From behind, he looked like an angel who had fallen into the mortal world. Qin Feiyang also sat on the ground and said with a smile, Why do you stay here all the time? This doesn't seem like your style. Longqin was stunned. He tilted his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. He asked curiously, Then in your eyes, what kind of style am I? I like to join in the fun, it's okay, I'm just looking for a sense of existence, and, Qin Feiyang laughed. Stop. Longqin's face darkened and he said angrily, Am I such a person in your eyes? Do you know how to talk? Are you here to make me angry? I'm just joking. I'm just surprised that you can live in such a place for so many years. Qin Feiyang laughed. Isn't this kind of life good? Longqin looked at the children who were playing not far away. There was a trace of motherly love on his face. This made Qin Feiyang even more puzzled. Because this was too different from Longqin's original personality. It could be said that they were two completely different personalities. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang looked at Long Qin and said with a smile, "Let's talk." "Aren't we talking now?" Long Qin looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said, "I mean, let's talk about you and the white-eyed wolf." Long Qin's expression stiffened slightly, but he recovered in an instant. He pursed his lips and said, "What can happen between me and him? What do you think? We're not blind. Whether it's you or the white-eyed wolf, we've seen your abnormalities during this period. It's just that we think that you're all adults and can solve your own problems, so we didn't interrupt." Qin Feiyang said. Long Qin looked slightly flustered. He shook his head and said, "There's no problem between us." "You little girl," Qin Feiyang rubbed Long Qin's head and said with a smile, "you're a classic example of saying one thing and thinking another. Just say it. Don't touch me." Long Qin slapped Qin Feiyang's hand away and glared at him fiercely. But in fact, he quite enjoyed this feeling. This was the care and concern of a brother for his sister. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He asked, "Tell me, what exactly did you and the white-eyed wolf talk about?" "Brother?" Long Qin turned to look at Qin Feiyang with an unnatural expression. "What's wrong? Am I not worthy of being your brother? Go out and ask around. How many girls in this world are fighting to be my sister? But I don't like ordinary people at all." Qin Feiyang said. "Then should I feel honored?" Long Qin said with a black face. He had never seen such a cocky man. "Of course. Are you kidding? After all, I'm the master of the Black Tortoise world. Isn't it a great honor for you to be my sister?" Qin Feiyang laughed proudly. The corner of Long Qin's mouth twitched. He looked back at the stream and cursed in a low voice, "Shameless." But there was a hint of a smile in his eyes. "At most, I'll suffer a little. I won't compete with Long Chen for the position of big brother. In the future, you will reluctantly call me second brother." Qin Feiyang said. "Bah! Reluctantly? As if you're so generous." Long Qin was speechless. Looking at Long Qin's reaction, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. He hesitated for a moment. Long Qin shook his head and said, "In fact, he didn't say anything. At that time, he just said to me that we shouldn't quarrel like this in the future." "That's a good thing." Qin Feiyang was stunned. Was there anything wrong with this sentence? Long Qin said angrily, "Don't you understand? He obviously said this to keep a distance from me." But before she finished speaking, she found that Qin Feiyang's expression became a little strange. Immediately after, she realized that she seemed to have said something wrong. In this way, wasn't it equivalent to admitting that she cared about the white-eyed wolf in her heart? Ha! Qin Feiyang looked at the distant mountains and laughed. "Don't laugh." Long Qin stared at Qin Feiyang and his face was a little red. Qin Feiyang laughed even louder. "You're still laughing." Long Qin pinched Qin Feiyang's arm with a sense of anger. Okay. I won't laugh, I won't laugh." Qin Feiyang was in so much pain that he grimaced in pain. This woman was truly violent. Long Qin snorted coldly, let go of her hand, and looked down at the stream. Qin Feiyang rolled up his sleeve and said angrily, "Look, there are bruises. You're too cruel. You want to murder your brother? You deserve it." Long Qin snorted. Yes. I deserve it." Qin Feiyang nodded, then looked at Long Qin and asked, "But, can you tell me the truth now? Do you have feelings for the white-eyed wolf?" When Long Qin heard this, her expression suddenly froze. Looking at the expression on Long Qin's face, Qin Feiyang understood and sighed. "In fact, not only me and senior brother, but also your brother is very opposed to your feelings." "Why?" Long Qin looked at him in confusion. I guess your brother's opposition might be because the white-eyed wolf is very unreliable and usually sloppy. Most importantly, the white-eyed wolf and fire dance already have feelings for each other. Long Chen is your brother. He definitely wants you to marry a man who loves you, a man who dotes on you. But it's impossible for the white-eyed wolf. Because he already has fire dance in his heart. The feelings between him and fire dance are obvious to all of us. It's impossible for him to abandon this relationship for anyone else. Of course. There's an even more important factor, and that's your mother. You know your mother's attitude toward us better than we do. Would she let you marry the white-eyed wolf? Absolutely not. As for my and senior brother's opposition, you should know in your heart. Qin Feiyang could not help but sigh at this point. Because of my father? Long Qin asked. Yes. Although your father saved me in the great Qin Empire and helped us when we came to the Divine Kingdom, I've never been able to let go of my prejudice against your father. I'm worried that if I fight with your father one day, the white-eyed wolf will definitely stand by my side. Moreover, you know the white-eyed wolf's temper. If we really fight, he'll definitely be the first to rush to the front. But what about you? If one side is your father, and the other side is the person you love deeply, what will you do? Qin Feiyang asked. Long Qin wanted to say something but stopped. For a moment, she really did not know what to do. But, suddenly, Qin Feiyang changed the topic and a smile crept onto his face. But what? Long Qin looked at him suspiciously. Ever since I reunited with the inner demons and big cousin, I've been thinking about this problem repeatedly when I'm free. Although I do have a strong opinion of your father, I can't be an obstacle between you and the white-eyed wolf because of me. So, if you and the white-eyed wolf really love each other and you really want to be together, I can choose to give in. In short, whether it's your father or your mother, all the previous grudges will be written off. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Really? Long Qin asked with a hint of joy on her face. Yes. However, it won't be easy for you and the white-eyed wolf to be together. After all, there's still fire dance. Your matter must be approved by her first. Qin Feiyang smiled. Today, I've been busy in the city for the whole day. The remaining 2 chapters will be released at around 10:30 p.m. Chapter 43:19. That's right. No woman in this world would be so stupid as to share half of her happiness with another woman. Long Qin nodded, but her face was full of worry. Qin Feiyang laughed again. What are you laughing at? Long Qin looked at him in confusion. Didn't you just say that there's nothing between you and the white-eyed wolf? Why are you so worried when facing fire dance's problem? Qin Feiyang looked at her teasingly. Long Qin's expression froze, and she said angrily, are you trying to trick me? Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed and said with a smile, if I didn't do that, would you take the initiative to confess your feelings? However, what I said just now was not false at all. It was the truth. Long Qin stared at Qin Feiyang angrily, looking quite cute. That's enough. I'm your brother after all. I won't laugh at you. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Humph. Long Qin turned her head away in a fit of pique. Qin Feiyang couldn't help laughing and asked in confusion, since you really like the white-eyed wolf, why do you keep hiding it? I'm a woman. Do I have to speak first? If I speak first, it means that I'm pursuing him. Wouldn't that make me seem too cheap? We'll talk about it later. In the past, at this point, Long Qin lowered her head, and her expression was extremely complicated. Qin Feiyang looked at Long Qin for a moment and said with a smile, in the past, although you often bickered with the white-eyed wolf, you didn't realize that you had feelings for him. All these years, you've been alone in this village. As your mentality changes and as time passes, you'll slowly recognize your own heart. Hearing this, Longqin's cheeks couldn't help but blush. It seemed that he had hit the nail on the head. Do you admire me now? My eyes are as sharp as torches. Qin Feiyang smiled proudly. How shameless. Longqin snorted. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, actually, I also know why you want to stay here. I don't believe it. Longqin shook his head. All right. I'll convince you. After recognizing your own heart, you were very hesitant and helpless. You were very afraid of meeting the white-eyed wolf. Because you're afraid that you won't be able to control your feelings after seeing the white-eyed wolf. Similarly, you don't dare to admit your feelings for the white-eyed wolf because you are too proud. If you confess your feelings first, it will definitely be very embarrassing for you. Furthermore, you are not confident in yourself. Because you don't know if the white-eyed wolf has feelings for you. There's one more thing. You're also considering your father, mother, and fire dance. So, all these years, it's not that you don't want to return to the Devil's Land, it's that you don't dare to return to the Devil's Land and face this. Qin Feiyang said. Longqin was dumbfounded. Was this guy a roundworm in her stomach? He actually got everything right. How is it? Now you admire me very much, right? Qin Feiyang chuckled. TSK. Longqin turned her head again and looked elsewhere. You little girl, this is where you're slow. Think about it, if the white-eyed wolf has no feelings for you, would he deliberately run to you and say those words? Based on my understanding of the white-eyed wolf, if he really has no feelings for you, then no matter how we joke, he won't take it seriously. Qin Feiyang shook his head. When Longqin heard this, she suddenly smiled and asked, you mean, the white-eyed wolf actually likes me too? I don't dare to say anything else, but at least he has you in his heart. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. I don't believe it. Longqin shook her head. Why don't you believe it again? Qin Feiyang was helpless. How could he lie about what he said? Longqin snorted coldly, no matter how good your relationship is, it's not to the point of telepathy. How do you know what he thinks in his heart? All right. Let's give it a try. Qin Feiyang said. How do we try? Longqin was suspicious. Don't worry about how I try. Anyway, if the white-eyed wolf does have feelings for you, then you have to be prepared to face all obstacles. Because whether it's fire dance, your brother, or your parents, you have to face them by yourself. We can't help much. In this matter, if we help, I'm afraid it will be counterproductive. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Personal feelings, especially such a complicated relationship, even if they have a good relationship with the white-eyed wolf, they can't intervene. Take Longzuan as an example. It's better if he and Madman don't come forward. At most, Longzuan will only make things difficult for the white-eyed wolf. But if he and Madman come forward, Longzuan will definitely turn hostile on the spot. Because in the ancient world, it was Qin Feiyang and Madman who joined forces to defeat Longchen. It was precisely because of this that the dragons were exterminated. The white-eyed wolf was at most an accomplice. Of course. When they came to the Sky Cloud realm, the white-eyed wolf dealt a big blow to the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm. Longqin was silent for a long time and nodded, let's try, let's see what tricks you can come up with. Okay. Then come back to the Devil's Land with me now. I'm still thinking of going back to the Sky Cloud realm. Qin Feiyang smiled. Why go back to the Sky Cloud realm? Longqin was suspicious. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation of the Death God army and the difficulties they were facing now. What? 10 small teams. Longqin was stunned. How many experts of the will of heavens were there in these 10 small teams? So now you know how much pressure I'm facing now. As a sister, you're actually in the mood to play here. Qin Feiyang looked at her with hidden bitterness. Longqin had goosebumps all over his body. Why did he look like a resentful woman? Wait. Suddenly. Long Qin frowned, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, if it's just a training target, you don't need to go back to the sky cloud realm. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Long Qin said, although many of the creatures of the Black Tortoise realm have not stepped into the Dominator realm, we can still train them. We're training them. I've already told Pai Lupi and Theta Wang to create a holy land to train the talents of the Black Tortoise realm, but it will take time. That's true. Long Qin nodded. Actually, I'm going back to the Sky Cloud realm to train the people of the Sky Cloud realm for the future. Qin Feiyang sighed. The future? Long Qin frowned. Yes. The foundation of the Sky Cloud realm is too weak. Although the three major races of the Divine Kingdom have already formed an alliance with us, the future situation is always changing. Can you guarantee that the Divine Kingdom will always be at peace with the Sky Cloud realm? Qin Feiyang said. Long Qin said with uncertainty, I think that the Divine King, the monarch, and the sovereign of the human race will not invade the Sky Cloud realm again. They won't, but what about their descendants? After a few years, when they grow old and the successors of the three major races start a war again, won't the Sky Cloud realm face a great disaster again? You have to know that we can't stay in the Sky Cloud realm forever. We can't protect the Sky Cloud realm forever. In the future, they will have to rely on themselves. So, the only thing that can really stop a war is a balanced strength. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. A balanced strength, Long Qin whispered. Yes. As long as the Divine Kingdom and the Sky Cloud realm are equal in strength, even if there is a war in the future, it will just be some small friction. It won't be serious to the point of extermination. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Yes. Long Qin smiled and said, you're still the one who thinks far ahead. If you admire me, just say it. Don't be so tactful. Qin Feiyang laughed. I found that your face seems to be comparable to the white-eyed wolf and the others. Long Qin's face darkened. Birds of a feather flock together. This sentence was indeed true. Let's go. Follow me back to the Devil's Land and talk to that brat. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Look for that brat. Long Qin was taken aback and said suspiciously, shouldn't we look for the gate of the Divine Kingdom? The gate of the Divine Kingdom is sealed in the land of Source. Can that brat stop? Maybe he has already figured out a way to control the gate of the Divine Kingdom. Qin Feiyang chuckled. That'd better be the case. After being away for so many years, I really miss the Sky Cloud realm. Long Qin laughed. Missing the Sky Cloud realm is fake. Missing your mother is the real thing. Qin Feiyang smiled. Is it wrong to miss my mother? Long Qin said angrily. Of course it's not wrong. As a child, how can I not miss my parents? Qin Feiyang looked up at the sky. Since he was back in the Sky Cloud realm, he might as well go back to the great Qin Empire and take a look. The battle with the Central Dynasty was about to erupt. If he didn't go back now, he might not have the chance to go back in the future. This was a sign of lack of confidence. However, there was nothing he could do. The Central Dynasty was too strong. He had to be prepared to die in battle. If he could use his death to overthrow the Central Dynasty's rule and get rid of the Divine Kingdom's ruler in exchange for peace for the Divine Kingdom, the Sky Cloud realm, the Nether King's Hell, and even the ancient world, Great Qin and the Forgotten Continent, it would be a worthy death. We can't lose the battle with the Central Dynasty and the Divine Kingdom's ruler. If we lose, the Central Dynasty and the Divine Kingdom's ruler will definitely take revenge. At that time, not only the Divine Kingdom, but the Sky Cloud realm and all the continents below it will be destroyed. Long Qin muttered in a low voice. She was also worried. Qin Feiyang nodded. There was no fear or sorrow. He was very calm. After comprehending the law of life and death, he had already seen through life and death. After saying goodbye to the villagers, the two returned to the Devil's Land. The villagers were very reluctant. This was especially true for the children in the village. They missed Longqin dearly. It could be seen how popular Longqin was in the village. However, Longqin wasn't an ordinary person. Although she was a woman, she had her own responsibilities. She couldn't stay idle forever. Her experiences in the village over the years would become a beautiful memory in her future life. Little brat, come out for a moment. I have something to discuss with you. Tea garden. Qin Feiyang looked up at the sky and shouted. Longqin went to visit Longchen. After all, she hadn't returned to the Devil's Land for so many years, so she naturally wanted to report to her big brother that she was safe. Chapter 43:20. Whoosh! After a while, Little Wimp descended from the sky and landed in the tea garden. What took you so long? Qin Feiyang frowned. Do you have a problem with that? Little Wimp sat in front of Qin Feiyang like an old man, scowling at Qin Feiyang and asking. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched and said helplessly, how would I dare? Can you control the gate of the divine kingdom now? Although he was the ruler of the Black Tortoise world in name, the real ruler of the Black Tortoise world should be this Little Wimp. Because in front of this Little Wimp, he didn't have the initiative. So it's because of this. Little Wimp nodded and said, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news? Qin Feiyang was stunned. What did he mean? Little Wimp waved his hand impatiently and said, answer me first. Then let's hear the good news first. Qin Feiyang hesitated and said. Little Wimp said, the good news is that I have control of the gate of the divine kingdom now. What? Qin Feiyang suddenly stood up. Previously, he told Longqin that this Little Wimp might have figured out a way to control the gate of the divine kingdom, but he didn't expect that he had already controlled the gate of the divine kingdom now. This was really great news. Calm down, calm down. Little Wimp waved his hand and signaled Qin Feiyang to sit down. Qin Feiyang returned to the stone bench and asked excitedly, how did you do it? Simple. Using the origin energy of the Black Tortoise world, I destroyed it bit by bit until it was about to be destroyed. Then, I finally compromised. Little Wimp grinned, as if he had just done something very easy. Destruction of both body and soul. Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned, it really has intelligence. Little Wimp said, the gate of the divine kingdom is actually a divine weapon, but this divine weapon is a little high level. Divine weapon? What level? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. Little Wimp said, pinnacle sovereign divine weapon. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang suddenly stood up and said in astonishment, are you sure? It's a peak-grade dominator divine weapon. You're making a fuss over nothing. Are you still a talent that I nurtured? Little Wimp's face was filled with disdain. What the hell? Am I a talent that you nurtured? You must be dreaming. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. How dare he say that? He really wanted Longqin to see who was the thick-skinned one. If not for me, would you have obtained the Black Tortoise world? If it weren't for my guidance all these years, would you have allowed the Black Tortoise world to grow so quickly? Young man, you can't forget your roots. Forgetting your roots will lead to retribution. Little Wimp said meaningfully. Get lost. Qin Feiyang glared at him in annoyance and returned to the stone chair. If the door of the divine kingdom is really a peak-grade dominator divine weapon, why did it compromise with me so easily back in the sky cloud realm? Also, when we broke into the divine kingdom, if it was really a peak-grade dominator divine weapon, it wouldn't have been sealed by us so easily. You know how to ask questions. That means that you have some brains. Little Wimp nodded like an old man. Will you die if you don't pretend? Qin Feiyang's veins were bulging. He was clearly a little wimp who hadn't even grown hair yet he was pretending to be deep all day long. What did you say? Say it again. Let me tell you, if you continue to be so rude, I will return to the origin power now. See who will beg who. Little Wimp said angrily. Okay, okay, okay. Old Senior, I was wrong. I apologize to you. Qin Feiyang was helpless to the extreme. What kind of sin did he commit in his previous life? Why did he always meet such trash? Call me Big Brother. Little Wimp pushed his luck and said with a cold face. Okay. Big Brother. Qin Feiyang nodded. He felt powerless in his heart. That's more like it. Little Wimp smiled proudly and explained, the gate of the Divine Kingdom is a bit special. Its hardness is comparable to a peak-grade Dominator divine weapon, but it doesn't have any destructive power. It is purely a teleportation gate. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang came to a realization and said with a smile, no wonder back then in the Void Land, Senior Brother, White-Eyed Wolf, Long Chen, and Long Qin joined forces and still couldn't break the gate of the Divine Kingdom. According to the weapon spirit, when the gate of the Divine Kingdom was being refined, the ruler of the Divine Kingdom had been using the origin power to strengthen the gate of the Divine Kingdom as soon as possible. In other words, the reason why the gate of the Divine Kingdom is so hard is because of the constant tempering of the origin power. However, although it doesn't have any destructive power, it is difficult to suppress with just its hardness. Back then, in order to suppress it, I almost used up all the origin power of the Black Tortoise realm. Little Wimp said. Then now, will it listen to you obediently? Qin Feiyang was a little worried. The gate of the Divine Kingdom might betray them as soon as they return to the Sky Cloud realm. If the ruler of the Divine Kingdom is here, it's hard to say. But now, it doesn't have the guts. Little Wimp bared his teeth. Why do you say that? Qin Feiyang was curious. Because it has already made a blood oath. If the ruler of the Divine Kingdom is here, he can help it resist the blood oath. But now, the ruler of the Divine Kingdom is in hell. If it violates the oath, when the blood oath descends, it will only end up with its soul destroyed. Little Wimp said. That's good. Qin Feiyang nodded. This was really good news. Suddenly, his expression froze and he asked, then, can the gate of the Divine Kingdom teleport to other places? What places? Little Wimp looked at him suspiciously. For example, directly teleporting from the Divine Kingdom to Great Qin. Or the ancient world. Qin Feiyang said. No. The gate of the Divine Kingdom is a teleportation gate specially created by the ruler of the Divine Kingdom for the Sky Cloud realm and the Divine Kingdom. Little Wimp shook his head. Then, it has no value. Only its hardness is comparable to a pinnacle sovereign divine weapon, but it is not a pinnacle sovereign divine weapon at all. No, it can't even be considered a sovereign divine weapon. Qin Feiyang immediately lost interest. Not stupid, you know how to think. Little Wimp chuckled. A row of black lines appeared on Qin Feiyang's forehead. He asked, then, what is the bad news you mentioned? Bad news. Little Wimp wanted to say something but hesitated, looking extremely heavy. Qin Feiyang's heart also jumped to his throat. Could it be that the gate of the Divine Kingdom had revealed some earth-shattering news to Little Wimp? And this news was related to the ruler of the Divine Kingdom? Sigh. Suddenly. Little Wimp let out a long sigh, looked at Qin Feiyang, but suddenly grinned and said, the bad news is that there is no news. The bad news is that there is no news. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang didn't know how to react to this sudden turn of events. You are indeed a big fool. No news means that there is no bad news. You don't even understand this. Huh, what an idiot. Might as well call you Big Fool from now on. Little Wimp laughed out loud. No bad news. Qin Feiyang was stunned, and then glared at Little Wimp. At this time, he still had the mood to tease him. Didn't he know what the current situation was? He was simply a bastard. No. Using the word bastard to describe him was more appropriate. Little Wimp held back his laughter, and said, "Big fool, why are you asking about the gate of the divine kingdom?" Qin Feiyang said angrily, "Asking about the gate of the divine kingdom, of course, is to prepare to return to the sky cloud realm. You can't even think of this, and you still have the face to call me a big fool." Little Wimp's expression froze, and he said angrily, "You're still arrogant, aren't you? Just you wait, I'll go destroy the gate of the divine kingdom right now. Let's see how you'll return to the sky cloud realm." Don't. Qin Feiyang hurriedly got up and pulled Little Wimp, and said with a bitter face, "I'm convinced, okay? Please don't torment me anymore. Call me Big Brother." Little Wimp raised his eyebrows. Big Brother. Qin Feiyang had no dignity as he submitted to Little Wimp's obscene might. "Are you a big fool?" Little Wimp asked. "You," Qin Feiyang was furious. "What am I? Tell me." Little Wimp chuckled, the threat in his eyes undisguised. "Okay, I am." Qin Feiyang endured the grievance in his stomach and nodded. "That's a good boy." Little Wimp laughed out loud again, and flew towards the sky with great pride. "What kind of ruler am I?" Qin Feiyang was depressed to the extreme. He couldn't even freely enter and exit the land of origin, so what kind of ruler was he? Wasn't this a joke? Puff. At this time, not far away, there was a snicker. Qin Feiyang looked over and saw Long Qin standing under a tea tree. Her face was already red from holding back her anger. "What are you laughing at?" Qin Feiyang stared at him in dissatisfaction. As Long Qin walked over, he said, "You're really sullen as a ruler." "Who says so?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Clang! Before his voice faded, accompanied by a loud sound, a divine gate descended from the sky and landed above the tea garden. It was the gate of the divine kingdom. What's going on? This seems to be the aura of the gate of the divine kingdom. Could it be that it broke the seal and wants to leave the black tortoise realm? Whoosh! Everyone was familiar with the aura of the gate of the divine kingdom. Immediately, everyone woke up from their seclusion and rushed to the tea garden, their faces gloomy to the extreme. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and Long Qin looked at this scene in astonishment. Even Long Chen, as well as the white-eyed wolf and lunatic who were fooling around somewhere, ran back. "Young master, are you okay? Qin, are you okay?" Everyone rushed over and immediately surrounded Qin Feiyang and Long Qin, their faces full of concern. "I'm fine, what's wrong with you?" Long Qin looked at Long Chen and the others suspiciously. Long Chen stared at the gate of the divine kingdom and said in a deep voice, "Isn't this the gate of the divine kingdom?" It was rare to see his face so solemn. "Yes, this is the gate of the divine kingdom. But this gate of the divine kingdom has been controlled by that little brat and can't pose a threat to us," Long Qin said. "What? It has been controlled by that little brat?" The group of people looked at Qin Feiyang and Long Qin in astonishment. Were they making a fuss over nothing? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "It has indeed been controlled by that little brat. Now I called it out to prepare to return to the sky cloud realm." Everyone looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They thought something big was going to happen. It turned out to be a false alarm. Return to the sky cloud realm? Dong Xingyang murmured and smiled, "All right." But there was a hidden meaning in his words. Qin Feiyang was keenly aware of the abnormality and turned to look at Dong Xingyang suspiciously. However, Dong Xingyang didn't explain anything. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "If you can, make a trip back to the great Qin. After all, the war is coming. Don't leave any regrets." Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. Why did these words have a hidden meaning? Could it be that Dong Xingyang had seen his future? Would he really die in the divine kingdom in the end? When you return to the Great Qin, inform me. I also have concerns about the Forgotten Continent. Dong Jingyang still didn't explain anything. He looked at Qin Feiyang and smiled, then turned and left. Why is this guy a little strange today? The white-eyed wolf and the madman looked at Dong Jingyang suspiciously. It is a little strange. The demon ancestor, Mu Tianyang, and Mu Qin also nodded and muttered. Chapter 43-21. Qin Feiyang did not look for Dong Jingyang in private. Because even if he went to look for Dong Jingyang would only tell him that the secrets of heaven could not be revealed. Are we really going back to the Great Qin? The mermaid princess turned to look at Qin Feiyang with anticipation in her eyes. Let's go back and take a look. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. He did not believe that Dong Jingyang would say these words for no reason. Don't leave any regrets, this might be a hint. Hearing this, a trace of joy immediately appeared in the mermaid princess' eyes. She turned to look at Fire Dance and Zhuo Shaoxian and said with a smile, "Come with us." "Sure." Zhuo Shaoxian giggled. She had long been curious about the Great Qin. You're going to the Great Qin to join in the fun? If you want to go back, you'll go back to the ancient realm with me. The madman wrapped his arm around Zhuo Shaoxian's slender waist and said with the attitude of a domineering CEO. Bah! I haven't married you yet. Zhuo Shaoxian's cheeks turned red. We're just short of a wedding. The madman bared his teeth. What nonsense are you talking about? Zhuo Shaoxian grabbed the madman's arm and glared at him. How dare he say anything? Didn't he see that there were so many people present? Wait. We're just short of a wedding. What do you mean? The white-eyed wolf looked at the two of them suspiciously. Nothing. Zhuo Shaoxian hurriedly waved her hand. Explaining was equivalent to covering up. The white-eyed wolf looked at the two of them strangely and asked, "Don't tell me you've already secretly consummated your marriage behind our backs." Ah. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. No, no. Zhuo Shaoxian hurriedly waved her hand. The madman said with a dark face, "Damn wolf cub, I'm such a person. Don't ruin my reputation here." Ha! Little madman. I didn't realize that you're the one who's the most boring and coquettish. The white-eyed wolf laughed loudly. Even with the madman's thick skin, his old face could not help but turn red. Could he be blamed for this? A man and a woman alone in the same room every day. As a hot-blooded man, how could he remain indifferent? There was bound to be a time when he couldn't control himself. The white-eyed wolf walked up to Fire Dance and bared his teeth. Sister Phoenix, shouldn't we hurry up as well? Move aside. Fire Dance's cheeks couldn't help but turn red as she glared at him angrily. Before you speak, can you pay attention to the situation first? Longqin's eyes dimmed as he watched the two flirt with each other. Qin Feiyang saw it all and smiled, "Go do what you need to do. I still have some things to tell the monarch and the others." Everyone dispersed one after another. Only the madman, the white-eyed wolf, and Longqin remained. The madman glanced at Longqin and grinned. "How did you come back? You think I want to come back?" "It was Qin Feiyang who personally invited me back," Longqin said proudly as he looked at madman. Yo. You're really something to be personally invited by old Qin." The madman laughed strangely as he looked at the silent white-eyed wolf and joked, "Brother Wolf, weren't you the one who made the most noise? Why aren't you saying anything now? You talk too much." The white-eyed wolf glared at him fiercely. Facing Longqin, who was standing opposite him, he seemed to be a little afraid to look at him. The madman laughed and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Old Qin, the inner demons and Lu Jiajin definitely want to go back. Should we find a way to inform them? They're in the Central Dynasty. How can we inform them?" Qin Feiyang shook his head. That's true. The origin energy isolates the central dynasty and the four great continents. What a headache. The madman nodded. Wait. We can go find that young man. Isn't his origin energy able to defeat the origin energy of the divine kingdom? The white-eyed wolf's eyes lit up. Where can we find him? Moreover, even if we find him, he may not do so. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, and his eyes suddenly became extremely firm. He looked at the two and said, "We must go to the central dynasty, but before we go, we must make the best arrangements." All right. The two nodded. Returning to the Sky Cloud Realm to train the people of the Sky Cloud Realm could be considered as preparing for a rainy day and cultivating a reserve army for the future. In the future. In the Divine Kingdom, if they couldn't defeat the Central Dynasty, at least they would have reinforcements. Unlike now, once they fell, everything would be over. Qin Feiyang took out the Divine Sound Transmission Stone. Buzz. Soon. A shadow appeared. It was the monarch. What's wrong? The monarch looked at them and chuckled. Qin Feiyang said truthfully, "We're going back to the Sky Cloud Realm." Back to the Sky Cloud Realm? The monarch was slightly taken aback and hurriedly said, "Why so sudden? Did something big happen in the Sky Cloud Realm?" "Not really. After leaving for so long, we just want to go back and take a look. On the way back to the great Qin Empire to see our family." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "So that's how it is." The monarch nodded in realization. As long as nothing big happened, it was fine. But suddenly, the monarch's spirit shook as he stared at Qin Feiyang and asked, "You just said that you want to go back to the great Qin Empire?" And Qin Feiyang nodded. "Go back to the great Qin Empire," the monarch murmured and suddenly seemed to have made a decision. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Wait for me first, I'll go and explain to second brother, then I'll go with you to the great Qin Empire." "You're going too?" Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. The monarch said angrily, "My precious daughter is imprisoned by you in the great Qin Empire. I must go and take a look." Cough, cough. How is this imprisonment? We are clearly protecting her." Qin Feiyang was speechless. "Come on. Anyway, I must go." "Wait for me," the monarch said with a dark face. "Wait a moment. If you go with us to the great Qin Empire, what if the people of the Central Dynasty come and can't find you? How are you going to explain it to them?" Qin Feiyang hurriedly asked. Why didn't he realize that the monarch was also a person who liked to join in the fun? "That's easy. When the time comes, just say that I'm in seclusion. I don't believe that they can turn the four great continents upside down. Anyway, if I don't see you when I get to the Void Land later, I will definitely settle the score with you." After saying that, the monarch was about to turn off the voice transmission stone. "Wait." Qin Feiyang hurriedly stopped the monarch and said, "Since you're going to the great Qin Empire, help me bring some divine wine while you're at it." "Divine wine?" The monarch was stunned. The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes and bared his teeth. "Little Qin Zi, you're really good. You know that I like this kind of wine. Don't think too much. I prepared it for you." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and looked at the monarch with a smile. "The more, the better. Thank you." "Okay." The monarch nodded and hurriedly turned off the voice transmission stone. "Little Qin Zi, I must have been blind to be your brother." The white-eyed wolf glared at Qin Feiyang angrily. "Haven't you drunk enough divine wine in the divine kingdom these days?" Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He ignored the white-eyed wolf and sent a message to the divine king and Jizun one after another to tell them about the matter. The two were surprised to hear that. However, when they heard Qin Feiyang say that he would be back soon, the two of them relaxed. They were afraid that Qin Feiyang would not come back. If that was the case, they would have to clean up the mess in the Divine Kingdom. They had no confidence in facing the Central Dynasty at all. After explaining everything, Qin Feiyang and the other three left the Black Tortoise Realm, opened the space-time tunnel, and entered the Void Land. The Void Land. Very few people had set foot in this place in the first place. After the battle between Qin Feiyang's group and the Monarch's group, not even a shadow could be seen here. The four stood in the center of the Void Land and waited silently. Are we really going to wait for him? Long Qin frowned. What else can we do? Qin Feiyang said helplessly. You have to know how much the creatures of the Sky Cloud Realm hate him. If we take him to the Sky Cloud Realm, it will be difficult to clean up the mess. Long Qin was worried. The situation was the same as in the Divine Kingdom. The creatures of the Sky Cloud Realm disliked the monarch as much as the creatures of the Divine Kingdom disliked the monarch. I know. But now, we have formed an alliance. The grudge between the Sky Cloud Realm and the Divine Kingdom should be settled. Qin Feiyang said. With the hatred the Sky Cloud Realm has for the Divine Kingdom, it won't be easy to resolve this grudge. I'm afraid it will be difficult for the Blood Ancestor, Feather Emperor, and the Little Rabbit to pass this hurdle. Especially the Little Rabbit, the beast god of the Sky Cloud Realm. Back then, it died in the hands of the monarch. Although you are sworn brothers now, I'm afraid it will fall out with you on the spot. As soon as Long Qin said this, Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf couldn't help but frown. It was indeed so. If they went back and told the Feather Emperor and the others about this, it might be counterproductive. How about this? Let the monarch stay in the Black Tortoise Realm first. Don't let him show up in the Sky Cloud Realm. As for personal grudges, let's wait until the Central Dynasty is overthrown and the ruler of the Divine Kingdom is eradicated. The madman suggested. I agree. At this time, let's not complicate things. The white-eyed wolf nodded. That's the only way. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. It would be very difficult for the people of the Divine Kingdom to accept them. But it would be equally difficult for the people of the Sky Cloud Realm to accept the monarch and the others. This was the result of the grudges of the past. The grudges had accumulated too deep. It would take a long time to wipe them all out. After a while, a figure tore through the air like lightning. Who else could it be but the monarch? At least you know your place. The monarch landed in front of the four and chuckled. He was really afraid that Qin Feiyang and the others would ignore him and directly return to the Sky Cloud Realm. You want to go to Great Qin so much? The madman was suspicious. My precious daughter is in Great Qin. What do you think? The monarch stared at him. Since the first invasion of the Sky Cloud Realm, he had been separated from Ji Tianyue. He didn't know how many years had passed, but he missed her day and night. Now that he could finally go to Great Qin and see the daughter he missed so much, how could he miss this opportunity? You can go. But you can't appear in the Sky Cloud Realm. Qin Feiyang said. Why? The monarch frowned. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly, aren't you asking the obvious? With the hatred of the Sky Cloud Realm for you, if they see you appear in the Sky Cloud Realm again, won't they immediately swarm you? Just them. There was a trace of disdain on the monarch's face. Yes. With their strength, you are definitely not afraid. But you have to consider our situation. You are the enemy of the Sky Cloud Realm. When they see us standing together with your enemy, won't they drown us with their saliva? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. This, the monarch frowned, pondered for a moment, and nodded, all right, I'll give you brats some face. He really disdained this kind of sneaky behavior. Moreover, with his status and strength, it was a shame to do such a thing. However, for the sake of the overall situation, in order to see his daughter, he chose to endure. Chapter 43:22 Then I'll have to trouble you to have some tea in the tea garden. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent the monarch to the devil's land. Then, he took out the gate of the divine kingdom. Clang! With a loud sound, the gate of the divine kingdom flashed and opened quickly, connecting to the gate of the divine kingdom in the sky cloud realm. Land of the buried gods. The core area. Two young men sat cross-legged on a mountain peak. On the mountain peak, there was the aura of a time array. The aura of the two was not weak. They were Yun Xiang and the Mas de Jura. As usual, the Mas de Jura wore a black mask on his face and exuded a cold aura. All these years, the two had been guarding the land of the buried gods, just in case. Because in their eyes, the divine kingdom was still their great enemy and could come to the sky cloud realm again at any time. Clang! Suddenly, a deafening sound rang out. The two suddenly opened their eyes and looked up at the gate of the divine kingdom. Their eyes flashed coldly. The divine kingdom really came again. Could it be that, the sky cloud realm that had finally calmed down was going to fall into war again? Their hearts were extremely nervous. Without Qin Feiyang and the others, how could the sky cloud realm face the army of the divine kingdom? Time passed little by little. Under their nervous gazes, 4 figures came out of the gate of the divine kingdom one after another. Yun Xiang and the Mas de Jura were stunned. These 4 people, weren't they Qin Feiyang, the madman, the white-eyed wolf, and Long Qin? The two looked at each other in disbelief. They rubbed their eyes hard and looked up again. The 4 people standing in the sky looked the same. It was really them. Over the years, not only Yun Xiang and the Mas de Jura, but even the Feather Emperor and the others thought that Qin Feiyang and the others broke into the divine kingdom, purely to seek their own deaths. So, they had been worried. But they didn't expect that these people not only came back alive, but they were also full of energy. Obviously, their days in the divine kingdom were pretty good. From the looks of it, you don't seem too happy to see us come back alive. Qin Feiyang and the other 3 took a step forward and landed on the mountain peak. The white-eyed wolf looked at Yun Xiang and the Mas de Jura and grinned. No, the 2 of them regained their senses and hurriedly waved their hands. All these years, they had been waiting for this moment. How could he not be happy? How have you been all these years? Looking at these 2 comrades who had gone through fire and water together, Qin Feiyang also showed a sincere smile on his face. Yes. We're all fine. Yun Xiang nodded and asked happily, what about you guys? Is everything going well in the divine kingdom? It's all right. Qin Feiyang smiled. He didn't elaborate. This was because it was best not to speak of the Death God Army's situation to prevent unnecessary panic. That's good. No matter what, it's fine as long as I come back alive. Welcome. Yun Xiang opened his arms and gave Qin Feiyang a bear hug. He was even crying tears of joy. You've worked hard. Qin Feiyang patted Yun Xiang's back. Yun Xiang and the Mas de Jura looked at each other and shook their heads. What's there to work hard for? At most, we're guarding the land of buried gods. That's right. But you guys are different. You broke into the divine kingdom alone and personally faced the countless strong people of the divine kingdom. Although you said it casually before, Junior Brother and I are not stupid. We can imagine how you guys have survived all these years. The Mas de Jura said. His eyes were also a little wet. Qin Feiyang and the other 3 looked at each other. It was really a happy thing to be able to come back alive and see these old friends. However, you guys are really something. Sneaking into the divine kingdom without even saying a word. When we reacted and prepared to go to the divine kingdom, we found that the door to the divine kingdom had already closed. Yun Xiang stared at them angrily. Don't you guys need to guard the sky cloud realm? If we all go to the divine kingdom, who will stabilize the order of the sky cloud realm? Qin Feiyang laughed. Come on, I think you guys are afraid that we will drag you down. Yun Xiang pursed his lips. Huh, it's good that you know. Why say it out loud and bring shame to yourself? The white-eyed wolf laughed. Yun Xiang glared at the white-eyed wolf and said helplessly, after so many years, you still haven't changed at all. Are you still Brother Wolf after changing? The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. That's true. Yun Xiang was stunned and nodded with a helpless smile. Then he looked at the four of them and said, anyway, as long as you don't make us go to the Divine Kingdom to collect your corpses, it's better than anything. Don't jinx it. Let me tell you, we are doing well in the Divine Kingdom. You won't believe it, but the Divine Kingdom is about to be wiped out by us. The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly. Really? Yun Xiang and the masked Azura were surprised. How can it be fake? This time, we came back to give ourselves a holiday, understand? The white-eyed wolf looked at the two of them proudly. A vacation? The two of them looked at each other. You must be kidding. Qin Feiyang and the others' strength and means were indeed very strong, but they were not strong to such an extent. One had to know. Back then, the monarch, Heavenly Lord Ji, the Divine King, and the Supreme of the human race came to the Sky Cloud realm. If it weren't for the appearance of the small beast and the ice dragon, the Sky Cloud realm would have been finished. Even now, when they recalled the terrifying strength that the monarch and the others showed back then, they couldn't help but be frightened. Especially the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. He was simply an invincible existence. The white-eyed wolf's words are indeed a bit exaggerated. However, the situation in the Divine Kingdom is indeed not as serious as you think. It is basically under control. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and smiled. Impressive. The two of them gave him a thumbs up. Since even Qin Feiyang said so, it must be true. Let's go, let's go. Let's go to Sky Cloud Island now. Feather Emperor, Shuezu, and Little Rabbit will be happier than us when they hear the news of your return. Because they are the ones who are most worried about you all these years. Yun Xiang said with a smile. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but think of Shuezu, Feather Emperor, and Little Rabbit. Thinking of their upcoming reunion, he was still a little excited. Wait a moment. The white-eyed wolf looked up at the gate of the Divine Kingdom and frowned. Although the gate of the Divine Kingdom in the Divine Kingdom has already made a blood oath, the gate of the Divine Kingdom in the Sky Cloud realm is considered an independent existence. Will it be bound by the blood oath? Qin Feiyang said, although there are two gates of the Divine Kingdom, their consciousness is not independent. As long as you control one, you can control both. You mean, as long as the wrath of heaven descends, the two gates of the Divine Kingdom won't be able to escape? The white-eyed wolf asked. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. That's good. Don't let the gate of the Divine Kingdom here cause any trouble. The white-eyed wolf breathed a sigh of relief. What do you mean? Control the gate of the Divine Kingdom? Yun Xiang and the masked Azura looked at the four of them in surprise. This was truly a shocking revelation. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, it's a long story. We'll talk about it when we see Shuezu and the others. Okay. The two nodded. Long Qin said, you guys go. I'll go back to the dragon nest. Qin Feiyang was slightly surprised. He turned to Long Qin and nodded with a smile. Okay, call your brother out too. With a wave of his hand, Long Chen appeared. Long Chen looked around and then at the gate of the Divine Kingdom. He looked at Yun Xiang and the masked Azura and cupped his hands and smiled. Long time no see, both of you. How have you been? Yun Xiang smiled and said, Brother Long is getting more and more energetic. It seems that you've had a good time in the Sky Cloud realm. It's okay. Now I'm anxious to go home. We'll catch up later. Long Chen said. Okay. The two nodded. The brother and sister opened a space-time passage and quickly left. The brother and sister's attitude towards us seems to be different from before. Especially Long Qin. The change is the biggest. Yun Xiang looked at the brother and sister's back and muttered. People change. Qin Feiyang smiled and opened a space-time passage. The Master Jura looked at them and said, "You guys go. I still have to keep an eye on the gate of the Divine Kingdom." "No need." The white-eyed wolf waved his hand. "No. Just in case, it's best to keep an eye on it." The Master Jura shook his head. "Why are you so stubborn?" The white-eyed wolf said helplessly. "Just keep an eye on it." Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at the Master Jura. "Then I'll have to trouble you." "No problem." The Master Jura waved his hand. "Then let's go." The four stepped into the space-time passage one after another. The Master Jura looked at the backs of Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf and muttered, "Although they are restraining their aura, I can still feel a particularly strong sense of crisis. It seems that these three guys have improved a lot in the Divine Kingdom over the years." Sky Cloud Island. It was located in the center of the Sky Cloud Sea. It was also the center of the entire Sky Cloud realm. This was the holy land of the Sky Cloud realm. Especially now, because of the existence of the heavenly cloud divine treasure, the creatures of the Sky Cloud realm yearned for this place even more. But there was no other way. No matter how much they yearned for it, they could only stare. Because only when the heavenly cloud divine treasure was opened, the little rabbit would allow everyone to come here. If they dared to come here, they would never be merciful. At this time. At the top of the mountain. In the pavilion by the cliff. The Feather Emperor, the little rabbit, and the Blood Ancestor were sitting around the table. The little rabbit was holding a wine jar and leaning on the stool like a master. The Blood Ancestor and the Feather Emperor were drinking tea. Their days were quite comfortable. "Hey!" Suddenly. The little rabbit shook the wine jar in his hand and said angrily, "Why can't I drink it? It's gone after a few sips." The Blood Ancestor's face was dark and speechless. "You drink every day. No matter how much peerless divine wine I prepare for you, it won't be enough for you. What does a damn old man like you know? For someone like Uncle Rabbit, if I don't drink for a day, my heart will feel uncomfortable." The little rabbit stared at him and looked at the sky powerlessly. "When will old 3 come back? I really miss him." "Bastard, you miss his divine wine." The Feather Emperor shook his head and laughed. "Why are you so talkative? No one will think you're mute if you don't talk." The little rabbit suddenly frowned. All these years, he had been drinking divine wine, and his appetite had long been developed. Now, when ordinary wine was placed in front of him, he didn't have the slightest appetite. Chapter 43-23. Buzz. Suddenly. In the sky above the sea. A space-time passage appeared. The little rabbit looked up and frowned. Who dares to barge into Sky Cloud Island without permission? The Feather Emperor and the Blood Ancestor also put down their teacups and looked up suspiciously. A figure appeared first. It was Yun Xiang. So it's this kid. The Feather Emperor and the Blood Ancestor smiled at each other. But then, the smiles on their faces froze and they stared at the gate of the Divine Kingdom. After Yun Xiang, 3 more figures walked out of the space-time passage. The little rabbit suddenly stood up and the wine jar in her hand fell and shattered into pieces. But even so, the Feather Emperor and the Blood Ancestor didn't seem to have heard it. Their eyes were fixed on the 3 people behind Yun Xiang. They're still so familiar. The space-time passage gradually disappeared. Qin Feiyang and the other 2 stood in the sky and scanned the surrounding sea and islands. After so many years, everything here was still the same as before. Not much had changed. Returning to this place felt like returning to his own home. Second brother, third brother, Uncle Rabbit isn't dreaming, right? Is it really you guys? Suddenly, the little rabbit roared and rushed over excitedly. Big brother. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked up, and a smile crept onto their faces. It really is you two. I really missed you. The little rabbit ran over and excitedly jumped around on Qin Feiyang and Madman's heads. In just a short while, the top of their heads became a messy chicken nest. Big brother, you're too enthusiastic. We can't stand it. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Do you really think he misses you? He's missing your divine brew because the divine brew you gave him back then is almost finished. The Feather Emperor and the Blood Ancestor walked over side by side. Their eyes were filled with tears. After countless days and nights of waiting, these brats had finally returned. Moreover, they had returned unscathed. Big brother, stop messing around. Qin Feiyang grabbed the little rabbit and threw it to the side. Then, he hurriedly walked in front of Feather Emperor and Blood Ancestor. Looking at these two familiar faces, he felt extremely guilty. I've made you worry all these years. You knew we would be worried. I know. Why didn't you tell us when you left? Feather Emperor said angrily with a cold face. This, Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. You need to be taught a lesson. The Feather Emperor gently patted Qin Feiyang's head. Although he looked very angry, his eyebrows were full of concern and joy. Qin Feiyang rubbed his head and laughed dryly. What else could he say? Not to mention a light pat, even if he was beaten up fiercely, he could only endure it because the person in front of him was his ancestor. It's good that you're back. The Blood Ancestor nodded. He looked behind him and frowned. Where is Li Feng? And, what about Tianyu? Long Tianyu was the Blood Ancestor's biological child. Li Feng was also a disciple of the Blood Ancestor. He was naturally very concerned. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly and was about to speak. The white-eyed wolf suddenly pushed Qin Feiyang away and looked at the Blood Ancestor with a sad expression. We originally discussed that we should hide this matter from you, but I thought about it carefully. One of them is your child, and the other is your disciple. I feel that you have the right to know. Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist looked at each other. What was this damn wolf up to? However, the Blood Ancestor, the Feather Emperor, and Yun Xiang looked at the white-eyed wolf and couldn't help but feel their hearts sink. Li Feng and Long Tianyu. No, he is your child. He should be called Nangong Tianyu. The two of them have already died in battle in the Divine Kingdom. The white-eyed wolf said with a sad expression. What? The Blood Ancestor's body swayed, and he couldn't help but feel dizzy. The Feather Emperor hurriedly reached out to support the Blood Ancestor. Yun Xiang's expression also changed, and he couldn't help but clench his fists. Little Rabbit couldn't help but frown. I'm sorry. It's all because we didn't take good care of them. We couldn't even bring back a piece of their body. The white-eyed wolf lowered his head with a face full of self-blame. Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist's lips twitched violently. This was indeed a wicked thing. They finally reunited, but he made such a big joke. My condolences. But don't worry, we have already cut the people who killed them into pieces and scattered their ashes. It's just that no one will take care of you in the future. But don't be afraid. As Li Feng's brothers, little Qin Zi and I will definitely take good care of you. We won't let you die alone. We're also planning to find you a partner. With someone to talk to, you won't be so lonely. The white-eyed wolf's words made the Blood Ancestor's face turn pale. He didn't even have time to reunite with Nangong Tianyu, and he was already separated by life and death. He could be considered as having a son at an old age. But now, he was an old man who had to send off his own son. Why? He roared at the sky, his heart and lungs torn. Fuck, this joke seems to have gone too far. The white-eyed wolf's pupils constricted. He coughed dryly and said, Little Chin Z, little lunatic, you too comfort me. I'm going to see my old friends. After saying that, he opened a space-time tunnel and slipped away without looking back. Qin Feiyang and the mad scientist's lips twitched. He left after causing such a big mess and left them to deal with the aftermath. Was this something a human could do? Cough cough. Ancestor, please wait. The white-eyed wolf was just joking with you. Li Feng and Tianyu are both in seclusion in the Black Tortoise world. They're still alive, Qin Feiyang said. Huh. The Feather Emperor, Bunny, and Yun Xiang raised their heads and looked at Qin Feiyang. The blood ancestor was also stunned. Then, he hurriedly looked at Qin Feiyang as if he was grasping at a life-saving straw. It's true. I'll get them to come out later. Qin Feiyang smiled. Is it really a joke? The Feather Emperor asked. Yes. It's not like you don't know the white-eyed wolf's personality. How many words from his mouth can be true? Qin Feiyang was helpless. Wolf cub, you bastard. The blood ancestor was instantly furious, but he couldn't find the white-eyed wolf anywhere. He said angrily, where is he? Previously, he was in a state of extreme sadness, so he didn't know that the white-eyed wolf had escaped. He knew that you would be angry, so he found an excuse to run away. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead, feeling weak both physically and mentally. Bastard. He can run away, but he can't run away. The blood ancestor was extremely angry. The moment he returned, he played such a huge joke on him and almost lost half his life. The Feather Emperor, the little rabbit, and Yun Xiang looked at each other and couldn't help but shake their heads and smile bitterly. As expected, it was still that bastard who scared people to death. All right. Let's go over and sit down. The Feather Emperor patted the blood ancestor's back and turned to walk toward the pavilion. If you have the ability, don't come to Sky Cloud Island for the rest of your life. The blood ancestor stared into the distance and snorted. Then, he returned to the pavilion and immediately picked up a teacup to drink tea to calm himself down. The Feather Emperor poured tea and asked with a smile, did you guys just come back? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, I came to visit you and the Patriarch as soon as I came back. I'm considered filial. The Feather Emperor shook his head and sighed. These years, we've been worried every day. But fortunately, you guys have returned safely. The blood ancestor drank the tea and felt much better. He looked at Qin Feiyang and the madman and asked, are there any injuries? Don't worry. No. The number of people who went back is the same as the number of people who came back. Long Qin and Long Chen have also returned to the dragon nest. Not only that, I also brought back a gift for Big Brother. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. What gift? The little rabbit's eyes lit up. Qin Feiyang secretly sent a voice transmission to the king and took out the divine wine that he had prepared. When he took it out, Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. It turned out to be 2 interspatial rings. In other words, the king gave him 2 interspatial rings of divine wine. Even if he drank it continuously, it would be enough to last him a few hundred years. Seeing the 2 interspatial rings, the little rabbit couldn't wait to grab them and check them carefully. Damn! Immediately. He was stunned. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, they're all divine wine and some of them might be of a higher level than the unparalleled divine wine. Are you satisfied with this gift? Yes, very satisfied. The little rabbit laughed loudly. For the blood ancestor and the Feather Emperor, it might not be valuable. But for the little rabbit, it was definitely a treasure. Sure enough, you know me well. After saying that, the little rabbit immediately took out a jar of divine wine and tasted it eagerly. You still gave him so much wine. Sooner or later, he will drink himself to death. The Feather Emperor was speechless. Shut up. It has nothing to do with you. The little rabbit glared at him fiercely, then turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "You're not bad, kid. You have to work harder in the future." Qin Feiyang chuckled. "Drink. I'll let you drink to your heart's content first. I'll settle accounts with you later." Lin Yi deliberately hid such a big thing from him. Thinking of this, he was angry. The Feather Emperor asked, "What have you experienced in the Divine Kingdom over the years?" "Nothing much. Anyway, it's just some fighting and killing." Qin Feiyang only said a few words. The reason why he didn't go into detail was that he didn't want the Blood Ancestor, the Feather Emperor, and the Little Rabbit to worry. The Little Rabbit and the Feather Emperor had worked hard for the Sky Cloud Realm for so many years. They should enjoy life. "Kid, if you don't want to tell us, just tell us." The Feather Emperor shook his head helplessly and said with a smile, "But it's fine. You are no longer the little brats of the past. You already have the ability to take charge. Now, your prestige in the Sky Cloud Realm is even higher than us old guys. Instead of worrying about this, it's better to live out your remaining years peacefully so as not to cause trouble for you." "You can't say that. You should live out your remaining years peacefully, but you will never cause trouble for us." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. "Okay. We won't ask more about the Divine Kingdom. I just want to ask. Is it over now?" The Feather Emperor asked with some expectations. "No." Qin Feiyang shook his head. The Feather Emperor was slightly taken aback. The expectation on his face turned into disappointment. He nodded and said, "Understood. It means that you will go to the Divine Kingdom again and continue to fight. And this will also be the last battle." Qin Feiyang smiled. His tone was relaxed and his expression was calm. However, the Feather Emperor, the Little Rabbit, the Blood Ancestor, and Yun Xiang had already realized the danger of this last battle. The last battle was about to break out, but Qin Feiyang and the others all returned to the Sky Cloud Realm at this time. What did this mean? It meant Qin Feiyang and the others had no confidence in this last battle. Therefore, they came back to take a look before the battle, lest there would be no chance in the future. Chapter 43-24. Seeing the heavy atmosphere, the maniac turned to Qin Feiyang and said, "Why don't you all chat? Xian and I will head to the Western continent." "Sure." Qin Feiyang nodded. He waved his hand and summoned Zhuo Xian greets the three seniors. Zhuo Xian greeted the Emperor of Feather, the Blood Progenitor, and the Little Rabbit. The Emperor of Feather nodded and said with a smile, "The little girl is getting prettier. Maniac, you should cherish her. Otherwise, many people will try to steal her from you." The maniac wrapped his arm around Zhuo Xian's waist and said proudly, "Who dares to steal my woman? Can't you be more reserved?" Zhuo Xian glared at the maniac. Her face blushed as the Emperor of Feather and the others stared at her. What the hell is being reserved? Is it edible? The maniac clenched his teeth. Zhuo Xian was speechless. Why did she fall in love with this asshole in the first place? Why are you wasting your time with them? Let's head to the Western continent. Your old man will be shocked if he sees you coming back. The maniac smirked. He's my father, not some old man. Zhuo Xian was furious. Even though it was still too early for him to address the other party as father-in-law, out of etiquette and respect, he should at least address him as uncle or uncle. I know. My future father-in-law. Don't worry, I'll behave myself in front of him. The maniac opened a space-time tunnel and comforted Zhuo Xian as he walked toward it. The Emperor of Feather and the Blood Progenitor shook their heads. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. The Emperor of Feather shook his head and said, "The Blood Demon Emperor is so obedient to a little girl. It's hilarious." Qin Feiyang was slightly startled, before he burst out laughing too. Indeed. What kind of person was the Blood Demon Emperor? He was on par with the Emperor of Feather, the Blood Progenitor, the Beast God, the Little Rabbit, the Dragon King, Feng Ho, and the Qilin. How awe-inspiring and domineering was that? Not to mention his previous life, just the lunatic in this life was not someone that an ordinary woman could control. But now, in front of Zhuo Xiaoxian, the lunatic seemed to have taken some kind of drug. It was undeniable that Zhuo Xiaoxian was indeed good-looking. Sweet and pure. But there were many women in this world who were prettier than Zhuo Xiaoxian. However, the lunatic's behavior was obvious to all. No matter how beautiful a woman was, he wouldn't take a second look at her. Yet, he was deeply in love with Zhuo Xiaoxian. For example, Jiang Yunshuang and Jiang Zishan, were these women bad? Not bad at all. They were all devastatingly beautiful women. But lunatic didn't feel anything at all. What else could he say? One could only say that this was the destiny of the madman and Zhuo Xiaoxian. The blood ancestor smiled and asked, "How strong are you now?" "Our strength?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He waved his hand and said, "It's better not to say it, so as not to hurt you." "Brat, you're really arrogant." The little rabbit's eyebrows jumped. She grabbed the wine pot and ran to the sky above the sea, provoking, "Come, let's spar." "Are you sure?" Qin Feiyang looked at the little rabbit with a faint smile. The little rabbit looked at Qin Feiyang's eyes and actually felt a little flustered. She coughed dryly and said, "Don't activate the will of the heavenly Tao and the laws of life and death." "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded. He didn't get up. With a wave of his hand, the ultimate profundities of the six supreme laws instantly appeared and attacked the little rabbit. What? Yun Xiang, the Feather Emperor, and the Blood Ancestor were stunned. The laws of death, the laws of life, the laws of destruction, the laws of spacetime, the laws of time, the laws of karma, he had actually comprehended so many ultimate profound meanings. The little rabbit was also dumbstruck as she stared at the six ultimate profound meanings. This was ridiculous. If the laws of life and death were included, wouldn't that mean that this fellow had already grasped seven ultimate profundities? Stop, stop. When she came back to her senses, the little rabbit hurriedly waved her hand. However, Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear to him. His eyes were full of ridicule. "Can't I admit defeat?" The little rabbit roared. Seeing that Qin Feiyang had no intention of stopping, the little rabbit was about to cry. It was really unlucky to encounter such a monster. Boom! With a loud bang, the little rabbit screamed on the spot. Her body was dripping with blood as she fell into the sea below. She was in an extremely sorry state. This was still Qin Feiyang showing mercy. Otherwise, the little rabbit would have been smashed to pieces. When they first came to the sky cloud realm, the little rabbit's strength was indeed something that Qin Feiyang could only look up to. However, it was different now. Their identities had been swapped. Even if the little rabbit used all her skills, it would be difficult for her to block Qin Feiyang's move. Splash! Along with a wave, the little rabbit rushed out, dripping wet. She glared at Qin Feiyang and said, "Brat, you must have done it on purpose." "Yes. I did it on purpose." Qin Feiyang nodded. "You heartless bastard. Have you forgotten how Uncle Rabbit took care of you before?" The little rabbit was burning with anger. It was worse than a white-eyed wolf. A white-eyed wolf. "Stop it." Qin Feiyang's face turned black and said angrily, "Let me ask you, where is Lin Yi now?" "Huh?" When the little rabbit heard this, she suddenly panicked. When Feather Emperor and Blood Ancestor heard this question, they couldn't help but look at the little rabbit with gloating eyes. They already knew about Lin Yi's incident on Sky Cloud Island when Lin Yi was crossing her tribulation. They had already advised the little rabbit that it was best to tell Qin Feiyang as soon as possible, lest Qin Feiyang find out by himself. It would be difficult to end the matter by then. But the little rabbit just didn't believe it. She thought that Qin Feiyang couldn't find out. Say it. Qin Feiyang urged. How would I know? You go and ask her yourself. The little rabbit snorted coldly. Still pretending. Qin Feiyang looked at her coldly. The little rabbit was very guilty. Does this guy already know that Lin Yi was hidden by me? But it doesn't make sense. No one told me. How could I know? Wait. Did Feather Emperor and Blood Ancestor tell this kid? The little rabbit immediately glared at Feather Emperor and Blood Ancestor. Feather Emperor and Blood Ancestor were helpless. Are they such talkative people? Don't look at them. They didn't say it. Qin Feiyang's face turned black. If it weren't for Mu Qing's investigation, he would still be in the dark. Then how do you know? The little rabbit was stunned. Admit it. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Ha, the little rabbit laughed dryly, returned to the pavilion, and took out a jar of divine wine again. Yun Xiang glanced at Qin Feiyang, looked at the little rabbit, and asked, Is Lin Yi really here? Ahem. The little rabbit coughed and nodded, yes, she has been cultivating in the cave house below. Ah. Yun Xiang was stunned and said with a wry smile, You are really something. You actually hid it from us for so many years. You are too stupid. Do you understand? The little rabbit despised, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, How did you know? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, Mu Qing found it with omniscient eye. What? Omniscient eye found it? The little rabbit and the others looked at each other. Mu Qing's omniscient eye hasn't evolved yet, right? How could she find Lin Yi's whereabouts? Could it be, yes. Mu Qing's omniscient eye has evolved. Not only Mu Qing, but Mu Tianyang, demon ancestor, and Dong Jingyang's battle souls have also evolved. Qin Feiyang nodded. So, their old enemy is really in the divine kingdom? Feather Emperor frowned. And not only that, but we have also found the old enemy of Yi and ancestor Lu Jingyang. Qin Feiyang said. This is a good thing. Feather Emperor and Blood Ancestor were very excited. The evolution of these strongest battle souls was the safest guarantee for the Sky Cloud realm. Because each strongest battle soul had the power to defy the heavens. It was no wonder that Qin Feiyang and the others could return safely from the divine kingdom. Then, how did you achieve these ultimate profound truths of the strongest laws? Yun Xiang was curious. He had a deep understanding of the difficulty of the ultimate profound truths of the strongest laws. Over the years, he had been comprehending them. And there was also the time array. But now, he hadn't even comprehended one, but Qin Feiyang had already comprehended so many. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, This is the main reason why I came back. Huh? The four's faces were full of doubts. Could it be that the ultimate profound truths of the strongest laws were a shortcut? There was indeed a shortcut, and they also knew that it was to integrate the inheritance. But, in this world, how could there be so many ultimate profound truths of the strongest laws? Even the Sky Bell divine treasure was rare. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice, Fire Lotus, leave 3,000 ultimate profound truths inheritance and give the rest to me. Also, give me 1/3 of the ordinary profound truths inheritance. Okay. However, this will take some time. Fire Lotus's voice sounded. It's okay. A day outside is 1,000 years inside. It won't take long. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly. Fire Lotus immediately called Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu to get busy. Don't keep us in suspense. Tell us quickly. Little Rabbit urged. What's the hurry? Qin Feiyang glared at her and said, "Let Lin Yi come out first." Little Rabbit smiled embarrassedly and looked at Yun Xiang. "Hurry up and call this girl out. Now you know how to order me around. Don't you usually not let me in?" Yun Xiang pursed his lips. "I dare you to say another word of nonsense." Little Rabbit glared fiercely. Yun Xiang shrank his neck and immediately got up and rushed down the mountain. Qin Feiyang dared to challenge Little Rabbit, but he didn't have such courage. If Little Rabbit wanted to deal with him, there were at least 800 ways to do so. In the future, he wouldn't be able to live a peaceful life in the sky cloud realm. Swish! Not long after, two figures rushed out from the mountain. Qin Feiyang looked up, and a smile suddenly climbed on his face. Next to Yun Xiang was a woman in her 20s. She was exquisite and slender. Her black hair was like a waterfall. She wore a white dress that didn't attract any dust. She looked like a fairy. That's right. It was Lin Yi, who he had not seen for a long time. "Brother Feiyang." When Lin Yi saw Qin Feiyang, she couldn't help but look stunned. Didn't Brother Feiyang go to the Divine Kingdom? How did he appear in the sky cloud realm? Oh no! I have been hiding it from Brother Feiyang all these years. He must be very angry. At this moment, she was panicking. She didn't even dare to enter the pavilion. How could Qin Feiyang not know what Lin Yi was thinking at this moment? He said with a straight face, "What are you doing outside? Do you want me to invite you in?" Chapter 43-25. It's over. Brother Feiyang is really angry. Lin Yi lowered her head, clenched her sleeves, and entered the pavilion nervously. Qin Feiyang got up and walked to Lin Yi with heavy steps. "Brother Feiyang, Lin Yi didn't dare to look up. Because she had already felt Qin Feiyang's anger. But suddenly, a warm hand patted her head. "You silly girl, do you know how worried I have been about you all these years? If Mu Qing hadn't found your whereabouts, I'm afraid I would have thought that something bad had happened to you until now." Following that, a heartwarming sentence reached her ears. "Brother Feiyang." Lin Yi looked up at Qin Feiyang, but in Qin Feiyang's eyes, she saw only concern for her. She felt guilty and said, "I'm sorry, silly girl, what are you apologizing for? As long as you are fine." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly and rubbed Lin Yi's head gently. His eyes were full of doting. Then, he took Lin Yi to the stone table and sat down. Sure enough, their relationship is deep. Feather Emperor and Blood Ancestor looked at each other and smiled. "How is it? Over the years, did my brother make you suffer? Don't be afraid of him. I am here. If he dares to make you suffer, I will torture him." Qin Feiyang said. "Heartless." The little rabbit grumbled discontentedly. Over the years, he had trained Lin Yi as a personal disciple. Whenever there was something good, the first thing he thought of was Lin Yi. "No. He is very good to me and takes good care of me." Lin Yi shook her head. Qin Feiyang smiled and asked, "Then your memory?" Before Qin Feiyang spoke, Lin Yi smiled and said, "It doesn't matter anymore." Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He looked at Lin Yi for a moment and nodded, "Yes, the past is not important. As long as we live well now, it's fine." In fact, he would rather Lin Yi not recover her previous memory. Because the previous memory, whether it was for Lin Yi or him, was a shackle. Wouldn't it be better to be like this? There were no superfluous elements. It was a pure sibling relationship. Qin Dage is ready. There are about 6,500 inheritances. At this moment, Fire Lotus's voice rang in Qin Feiyang's mind. So many? Qin Feiyang was slightly surprised and asked, "Did you leave 3,000 copies?" "Yes." Fire Lotus replied. 3,000, and 6,500. Qin Feiyang was a little surprised. Initially, he had thought that there would at most be a little more than 9,000 servings. However, there were 500 more servings now. One should know that each inheritance contained 6 ultimate profound meanings. 500 ultimate profound meanings meant that there were 3,000 ultimate profound meanings. Even the Sky Bell Divine Treasure wouldn't be able to find so many inheritances of 3,000 ultimate profundities even if they searched every corner. For the Sky Cloud Realm, it was an astronomical figure. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and an interspatial ring appeared. Immediately, Feather Emperor, Blood Ancestor, Little Rabbit, Yun Xiang, and Lin Yi couldn't help but look at the interspatial ring. Their faces were full of suspicion. This is the gift I have prepared for the Sky Cloud Realm. Qin Feiyang smiled and handed the interspatial ring to Feather Emperor. Feather Emperor took the interspatial ring and looked down. His face suddenly froze. What is it? Why are you so surprised? Blood Ancestor and Little Rabbit frowned. Take a look for yourselves. Feather Emperor took a deep breath, calmed down the shock in his heart, and handed the interspatial ring to the two. After the two checked it one after another, they were also stunned. The reaction of the three made Lin Yi and Yun Xiang even more surprised. What amazing treasures are in the interspatial ring? Take a look. Blood Ancestor and Little Rabbit also calmed down the shock in their hearts and handed the interspatial ring to the two. When the two saw it, they were dumbfounded on the spot. How is this possible? They are all inheritances of ultimate profound meanings. Is this the foundation of the Divine Kingdom? How terrifying! Qin Feiyang smiled and said, even the Divine Kingdom can't find so many inheritances. Huh? The four looked at him in a daze. What do you mean? Could it be that these inheritances were not obtained from the divine nations? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, these ultimate profound meaning inheritances were indeed collected in the Divine Kingdom, but they were obtained through extraordinary means. Extraordinary means? The four were taken aback. Yes. Long Chen has mastered a powerful secret technique called soul manipulation. As long as one is controlled by the soul manipulation, he can easily strip the other party of their ultimate profound meaning. Qin Feiyang smiled. He actually mastered such a terrifying secret technique. The four were shocked. When they came back to their senses, Feather Emperor asked, you mean, these inheritances were extracted by Long Chen in the Divine Kingdom? Yes. There are more than 110,000 ultimate profound meaning inheritances in total. There are even more ordinary ultimate profound meaning inheritances, more than 700,000. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. So many. The four were shaken. More than 700,000 ordinary ultimate profound meaning inheritances. More than 110,000 ultimate profound meaning inheritances, this was simply unheard of. Yun Xiang asked, are there so many experts in the Divine Kingdom? His voice was full of disbelief. A lot. The people we hunted are just the tip of the iceberg. Qin Feiyang smiled vaguely. The four looked at each other, shocked to the extreme. With so many ultimate profound meaning inheritances, how many experts of the Divine Kingdom had they hunted? Even so, this was just the tip of the iceberg of the Divine Kingdom. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the Divine Kingdom's foundation was. You gave us so many inheritances at once. What about the people around you? The Blood Ancestor frowned. Don't worry about that. The people around me have already obtained the inheritances they need. This is what's left. And, I still have 3,000 in my hands. Qin Feiyang said. That's good. The Blood Ancestor breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the yin and yang rings on the table, he couldn't help but laugh. With these inheritances, the rise of the Sky Cloud Realm is just around the corner. That's right. The Feather Emperor and the Little Rabbit were also very excited. This was simply giving them a huge treasure that could change the fate of the sky cloud realm. Qin Feiyang glanced at the heaven cloud divine treasury located in the mountains below and said with a smile, "There's no need to put these inheritances of ultimate profundities into the heaven cloud divine treasury. Just pick some perfect sovereigns and let them fuse with them. Just give it to them." The Feather Emperor, the Blood Ancestor, and the Little Rabbit were stunned. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Are you kidding? How can there be such a thing? Wouldn't that be letting them off too easily?" The three frowned. "I knew you would definitely object. But you have to listen to me on this matter. I definitely have my reasons for this arrangement. Of course. The target of the nurturing must be trustworthy. Demonic Hall, Rogue Cultivator Alliance, Sky Hall, Deity Hall. A few years ago, when the Divine Kingdom invaded the Sky Cloud realm, they also made a lot of contributions. There's also the dragons, Foam People, and the Qilin clan. You have to take care of them too." Qin Feiyang said. The Blood Ancestor frowned and said, "We don't object to the four forces of the Demonic Hall. After all, they have already submitted to you. Now, you are the honorary Hall Masters and Alliance Masters of the four forces. But the dragons, Foam People, and the Qilin clan," at this point, the Blood Ancestor's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Honorary Hall Masters and Alliance Masters? What's going on?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Not long after you left, the four forces of the Demonic Hall announced that you, the Lunatic, and the White-Eyed Wolf will be their honorary Hall Masters and Alliance Masters from now on. At that time, we were also very puzzled. But when we asked Elder Hua and the others, we learned that this matter has already been approved by you." The Blood Ancestor said. "Is there such a thing?" Qin Feiyang scratched his head. Suddenly, he slapped his forehead. There really was such a thing, but it had been too long, and he had forgotten about it. But at that time, that was just a joke. He didn't expect Elder Hua and the others to really do that. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "You are still biased against the Foam People, the Qilin clan, and the dragons. How can we not be biased? Don't forget that the human emperor died in the hands of the Dragon King and the other two." The Blood Ancestor said angrily. "I didn't forget. But didn't the Dragon King and the other two pay the price with their lives? Back then, I said that as long as the three of them died, all the previous grudges would be written off. As a man, I can't go back on my words. Moreover, it's all thanks to Long Chen that we were able to obtain these inheritances. Now that he's with the dragons, we have to take the dragons into consideration. This is the most basic principle of life. As for the Foam People and the Qilin clan, the Fire Phoenix is the princess of the Foam People, and the Fire Qilin is the holy son of the Qilin clan. We have to take care of them. Of course. If you really have a problem with them, you can give them less." Qin Feiyang smiled and said. The Feather Emperor and the other two pondered for a while, then nodded and said, "All right, you guys worked hard to obtain these inheritances. You can arrange it however you want. Also, you guys should integrate a few more inheritances. It's best to integrate all 8 ultimate laws. The difference between an ultimate profundity of 8 supreme laws and an ultimate profundity of 6 supreme laws is still quite large. At that time, if someone dares to act rashly, you guys will have enough strength to suppress them." Qin Feiyang said. "Then, aren't we getting a big advantage?" The Feather Emperor laughed. "This is what you deserve," Yi Zichen said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He glanced at Sky Cloud Island and asked suspiciously, "Why don't I see the 4 guardian beasts?" "Them. Usually, they are not on Sky Cloud Island." The Feather Emperor laughed. Qin Feiyang said, "Ancestor, you have to take special care of the 4 guardian beasts. After all, they have done too much for the Sky Cloud realm. Do I need you to tell me that? They are my teachers." Don't worry. Even if they don't want it, I will force the inheritances of the 8 ultimate laws on them. The Feather Emperor said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, there is also the Sea Lion Emperor and the other beast gods in the land of buried gods. They are all on our side, so we have to take special care of them. Kid, you still have a conscience. You haven't forgotten them. The Feather Emperor and the Blood Ancestor laughed. How would I dare to forget? If it weren't for them, how would I be who I am today? Qin Feiyang sighed. In the Sky Cloud realm, these people had helped him a lot. As the saying goes, a drop of water should be repaid with a gushing spring. If he didn't even have a basic sense of gratitude, was he worthy of being called a human? Chapter 43-26. Other than that, Qin Feiyang waved his hand again, and another interspatial ring appeared. What is this? Several people were surprised. There should be more than 200,000 ultimate profound inheritances of ordinary laws. You can put these inheritances into the heavenly cloud divine treasure. It can also be considered as giving other ordinary creatures a chance. Qin Feiyang smiled. The Blood Ancestor and the other 2 looked at each other. This kid was really dedicated to the heavenly cloud realm. The Feather Emperor stood up and cupped his hands. On behalf of the heavenly cloud realm, I sincerely thank you. Ancestor, what are you saying? Isn't this what I should do? Besides, how can I accept this bow of yours? I'm afraid my life will be shortened. Qin Feiyang shook his head. You brat. The Feather Emperor laughed and looked up at the sky. If Big Brother knows that there is a descendant like you, I believe he will be very happy in the underworld. Human Emperor, Qin Feiyang murmured. The biggest regret in his life was that he couldn't see this great ancestor. Then he looked at Yun Xiang. Why are you looking at me? Yun Xiang was suspicious. Nothing. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. Ancestor, Big Brother, have you been sure over the years whether he is the reincarnation of the human emperor? We have been observing him. However, it doesn't look like it. Although Yun Xiang's character is not bad, compared to the human emperor, it seems to be a lot worse. The Blood Ancestor thought. What do you mean? We know the human emperor too well. He has never had the slightest selfishness for the sake of the world. If there is a saint in this world, then he must be a saint. But Yun Xiang, we all think that he is too selfish. Of course. His selfishness is nothing compared to those who are truly selfish. But compared to the human emperor, he is indeed a lot worse. Little Rabbit said. It is normal for people to be selfish. Furthermore, after reincarnation, his personality will definitely change. Qin Feiyang mumbled. We thought so too. But it's still a little hard to accept. Because Yun Xiang's talent, courage, and responsibility are far from the human emperor's. The Blood Ancestor transmitted. If he isn't, why would the princess of the divine kingdom strip the ultimate profound and give it to him? Qin Feiyang asked secretly. This is also what we can't figure out. Maybe he really is the reincarnation of Ren Huang. Maybe it's just as you said. After he was reincarnated, many things changed. Little Rabbit said. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said to himself, let's not talk about this for now. There was no point in discussing this now. Since he was going to return to Great Qin, he could just ask Ji Tianyue. Has the Sky Cloud realm been peaceful all these years? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Yes. Ever since you guys entered the Divine Kingdom, the Sky Cloud realm has been peaceful. However, no one dares to let down their guard and has been working hard to cultivate. The Feather Emperor smiled. What about Longzuan? She hasn't done anything these years? Qin Feiyang asked. No. Maybe she is afraid of our strength. The Blood Ancestor said with a smile. Afraid of your strength? Qin Feiyang was stunned and said with a bitter smile, "Old ancestor, don't underestimate Longzuan. She might have already grasped the will of the heavens. It's just that you guys don't know about it." "What?" The blood ancestor's face changed. "Don't forget whose woman she is. I am sure that she definitely has enough ultimate profound inheritance in her hands to let her grasp the will of the heavens." Qin Feiyang said. The Feather Emperor and the Blood Ancestor looked at each other and their hearts sank. Indeed. As Ice Dragon's woman, how could Longzuan be willing to be ordinary? She was really careless. I think that she didn't run out to harm the Sky Cloud realm all these years. It should be because before she left, Longchen told her something. Anyway, you guys must not ignore this woman. Qin Feiyang reminded. Got it. The Feather Emperor and the other two nodded. Okay, I'll go take a look. Qin Feiyang got up and smiled. Where are you going? The Feather Emperor was suspicious. Just take a look. In addition, don't leak out the matter of us coming back, so as not to cause unnecessary chaos. After Qin Feiyang said, he looked at Lin Yi and asked, do you want to go together? Okay. Lin Yi nodded obediently. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, changed his appearance a little, opened a space-time passage, and led Lin Yi away. This brat is really the lucky star of our Sky Cloud realm. The Blood Ancestor chuckled. The little rabbit looked at the Blood Ancestor playfully and said, you didn't say this before. You used to say that he is a jinx. Wherever he goes, disaster follows. Are you a professional teardown? The Blood Ancestor glared at the little rabbit fiercely. The Feather Emperor looked at the two helplessly and said, okay, stop arguing. Let's quickly discuss how to distribute these 6,500 Supreme Law Ultimate Inheritance. Looking at the interspatial rings on the table, his heart was a little heavy. Qin Feiyang came back in advance to make these arrangements, which was enough to show that the situation in the Divine Kingdom was not optimistic. But since Qin Feiyang didn't say anything, he couldn't do anything. Moreover, even if he told him, he couldn't help. He heard about it. The Blood Ancestor and the little rabbit stopped arguing, lowered their heads, and pondered. In front of serious business, they couldn't play around. Let's do it this way. For people like Elder Hua, Chu Yun, Alliance Master, Deputy Alliance Master, He Zhongtian, and the Sky Palace Master, we will give them 8 inheritances. The Blood Ancestor said. I think it's okay because these people are the people that third brother trusts the most. The little rabbit nodded. There is one more person. This person is Huo Wenchang, Huo Wu's father. Back then, he publicly scolded Feng Ho for Huo Wu and left the Feng people. He is also a man with a true temperament. The Feather Emperor said. There was a trace of admiration in his words for Huo Wenchang. This person is indeed good. He clearly distinguishes between kindness and hatred. The Blood Ancestor and the little rabbit nodded. Of course. There is also Xiang and little Azura. These years, they have been working hard for the Sky Cloud realm. We have to take special care of them. The Feather Emperor looked at Yun Xiang next to him and smiled. Yun Xiang laughed dryly. The Blood Ancestor suddenly seemed to think of something. He looked at the Feather Emperor and the little rabbit and said, don't forget, there is a group of people that we have to take special care of. Who? The Feather Emperor and the little rabbit were suspicious. The Blood Demon Race. The Blood Ancestor said word by word. The Feather Emperor and the little rabbit looked at each other and couldn't help but look in the direction of the Yin Demon land. The Blood Demon Race indeed needed to be taken care of. Because back then, the Blood Demon Race had sacrificed too much. It could be said that, whether it was the Sky Cloud realm, the ancient world, Great Qin, or the Forgotten Continent, they all owed the Blood Demon Race a favor. Cloud Sea City. A man and a woman entered the city. Looking at the bustling streets, there was a smile on their faces. You have been in the sky cloud realm for so many years, but you haven't come to the eastern continent to take a look, right? The young man asked with a smile. The two were Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. No. I have always been on Sky Cloud Island. Lin Yi shook her head. Qin Feiyang said with dissatisfaction, this big brother is too much. It's not wrong to cultivate hard, but sometimes he should let you out to get some fresh air. He is also doing it for my own good. Lin Yi smiled. Forget it, let's not talk about him. It's rare to have time. I will take you around. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly and said. Okay. Lin Yi nodded like a good girl. She enjoyed Qin Feiyang's care for her. On the street, there was a lot of traffic. Qin Feiyang kept passing by the pedestrians on the street. However, from beginning to end, no one realized that the man who passed by them was the patron saint of their sky cloud realm. Lin Yi pointed to a place not far away and said, Brother Feiyang, there is a jewelry store there. Shall we go in and take a look? Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Girls usually had a special fondness for all kinds of beautiful jewelry. The two entered the store. There were many women inside. There were young women in their 20s and noble women. They were all looking for jewelry that they liked. The jewelry in the store was also dazzling and exquisite. The store was very large, and the decoration was also very high-end. Obviously, the people who came in and out of the store were either rich or noble. Young master, young miss, hello. What kind of style do you two like? I can introduce it to you too. A young woman greeted them. She was a staff member here. She thought that Qin Feiyang was a couple. No need, we will see it ourselves. Lin Yi smiled politely. Okay. The woman was also quite sensible. She silently retreated to the back and followed Qin Feiyang. Suddenly, Lin Yi saw a good hairpin. She walked up and looked down at it. This hairpin was snow white with a crystal luster. The top was inlaid with a delicate lotus flower, giving an elegant and noble aura. Do you like it? I will give it to you. Qin Feiyang smiled. I like it very much. Lin Yi nodded. The staff member behind her heard the words and immediately walked into the counter. She took out the hairpin and handed it to Qin Feiyang. She smiled and said, Young master, you might as well put it on for young Mississippi. Qin Feiyang smiled, took the hairpin, and slowly inserted it into Lin Yi's hair. There was a saying that clothes make the man, and saddle make the horse. But now, this sentence was the complete opposite. This hairpin was now even more distinctive because it was worn on Lin Yi's head. It looks good. Even the staff member couldn't help but marvel. Because no one knew her, Lin Yi did not change her appearance. Whether it was her appearance or her temperament, they could be called stunning. Qin Feiyang looked at it for a while, looked at the staff member and smiled, pay the bill directly. Okay. The staff member nodded. He didn't even ask about the price first. It seemed that in order to win the beauty's heart, he would pay a lot. However, at this moment, a hand appeared, grabbed the hairpin on Lin Yi's head, and pulled it out. Lin Yi was taken aback. She turned her head and looked suspiciously. She saw a 17 or 18-year-old young man in purple clothes, holding the hairpin and looking back and forth. This situation made Lin Yi frown immediately. Chapter 43:27. Qin Feiyang, who was about to pay the bill, inadvertently noticed this scene. He couldn't help but turn to look at the purple-clothed young man. What does this mean? Snatch it directly from our hands? Young Master Shen. The staff member turned his head and looked. There was a trace of surprise on his face. He quickly walked over and smiled flatteringly, Young Master Wang, I didn't expect you to come. This so-called young Master Wang ignored the woman's flattery, let alone Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. His attitude seemed to treat them as air. Then, he handed the jade hairpin to the woman and said faintly, "I want this jade hairpin. Wrap it up for me. Wrap it up nicely. I want to give it to someone." Ah! The woman was taken aback. She looked at young Master Wang with some embarrassment and said, "Young Master Wang, someone has already taken a fancy to this jade hairpin." "Who?" Young Master Wang raised his eyebrows. "You took it from my head. You still don't know who it is?" Lin Yi frowned. Young Master Wang asked faintly, "Did you pay the bill?" "No." Lin Yi shook her head. "You didn't pay the bill. Is this yours?" Young Master Wang sneered and looked at the woman. "Hurry up. Don't waste my time." The woman was in a dilemma. Qin Feiyang looked at the arrogant young master and smiled, "Little brother, we did take a fancy to this jade hairpin first. If you like it, let the shop prepare another one for you." When the woman heard this, she quickly looked at Qin Feiyang and explained, "Young master, the accessories in our shop are unique." "Unique?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback. "Yes. There is only one piece of each accessory. This is to improve the value and uniqueness of the accessory. This is meaningful." The woman nodded. "It turns out to be like this." Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled, "Your boss is really good at doing business. The price of a unique item can naturally be much higher." "Ha," the woman laughed dryly. "Get lost if you can't afford it." Young Master Wang glanced at Qin Feiyang contemptuously. Qin Feiyang stared blankly at this young man. Shouldn't there be a first-come, first-served rule when it came to buying things? Not only did he run out halfway to snatch it from them, he even spoke rudely. Seeing that the atmosphere was not right, the woman hurriedly looked at young Master Wang and said, "Why don't you choose something else? Our shop also has many good accessories." "No. I'll take this one." The purple-clad young man shook his head. But, the woman was a little helpless. She turned her head and looked at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi for help. She asked, "Why don't you two pick another one?" When Lin Yi heard this, she looked at Yuzan and frowned. "I'm begging you. We can't afford to offend this person." The woman whispered. "Can't afford to offend him?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. In the sky cloud realm, was there anyone that Qin Feiyang could not afford to offend? This made him a little curious. This person is Theta Wang Chuan. He is a core disciple of the Demon Palace. It is said that he has entered the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure before and obtained 2 law miniatures. His future is limitless. The woman explained. It turns out that he is a core disciple of the Demon Palace. No wonder he is so arrogant. The commotion here had already alarmed the other guests. They were all gathered not far away. When they heard the woman's words, they couldn't help but shrink their pupils. They looked at Theta Wang Chuan again with fear in their eyes. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi looked at each other with a trace of surprise. What surprised them was not that Theta Wang Chuan was a core disciple of the Demon Palace, but that this person had entered the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure and obtained 2 law miniatures. As the creator of the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure, Qin Feiyang certainly knew the situation of the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure. To obtain 2 law miniatures, it really required a lot of luck. Theta Wang Chuan stared at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi and said impatiently, "Since you already know my identity, you'd better be sensible. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences later." Ugh! These words stunned Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi for a long time. Bear the consequences later? They didn't expect that there would be someone in the Heavenly Cloud realm who dared to say such words to them. Especially Qin Feiyang. Not only was he the creator of the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure, but he was also the honorary Hall Master of the Demon Palace. The law miniatures of the Heavenly Cloud Divine Treasure were also his. Now, such a small core disciple dared to show off in front of him. It was really interesting. The woman looked at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi and asked, "Young master, young lady, you see," her eyes were full of pleading. Qin Feiyang was about to speak, but Lin Yi waved her hand and said, "Forget it. It's just a jade hairpin. There is no need to bother with him." Qin Feiyang was taken aback and looked at Lin Yi puzzledly. Lin Yi secretly smiled and said, "With your identity and status, if you bother with a disciple, others may say that you are narrow-minded." "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Look at what a considerate girl she is. I wonder who will have the blessing to marry this girl in the future. You are sensible. Wrap it up for me." Theta Wang Chuan glanced coldly at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi, then looked at the woman and said, "Okay." The woman nodded and smiled apologetically at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. Then, she led Theta Wang Chuan to the counter. "Demon Palace. It's getting worse and worse now." "Yeah." The customers around whispered. Qin Feiyang frowned slightly when he heard these words. What does this mean? Why is the Demon Palace getting worse and worse? "Brother, you are very wise. This is a disciple of the Demon Palace. We ordinary people can't afford to offend him." A black-clothed young man walked over, patted Qin Feiyang on the shoulder, and left the shop. Qin Feiyang looked at the back of the black-clothed young man and frowned. What happened to the Demon Palace these years? Why does it seem that there are complaints everywhere? I don't know. I have never been to the Eastern continent. Lin Yi shook her head. Did Big Brother tell you about the situation of the Demon Palace? Qin Feiyang asked. No. He has always asked me to cultivate in seclusion peacefully and ignore the outside world. Lin Yi said. It's strange. Qin Feiyang murmured, looked at Lin Yi, and smiled, then let's go and see other accessories. No need. I'm not in the mood. Lin Yi shook her head. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded helplessly and led Lin Yi out of the shop. But when he walked out of the door, he turned to look at Theta Wang Chuan, who was paying the bill. He couldn't help but frown. After a while. On the street. Lin Yi tilted her head, looked at Qin Feiyang, and asked, Brother Feiyang, what are you thinking about? You look absent-minded after coming out of the accessory shop. Ah. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses, looked at Lin Yi, and apologized, Sorry, I was thinking about something. If there's anything, you can go and solve it. Lin Yi said. It's nothing. It's just a bit strange. Didn't the Demon Palace have a good reputation in the Eastern continent before? Why is it so bad now? Qin Feiyang frowned. Maybe people like Theta Wang Chuan are just a few. Lin Yi thought for a while and said. I hope so. Qin Feiyang smiled, looked up, and locked his eyes on the street ahead. He smiled and said, I didn't expect to come here unknowingly. Since we are all here, let's go and have a seat. Lin Yi looked up suspiciously and saw a magnificent restaurant standing on the street a few hundred meters away. Tianyue Restaurant. Young master, miss, please come in. Under the reception of the waiter, Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi entered the restaurant. Are there any private rooms upstairs? Lin Yi asked. Sorry, there are no more. The waiter said apologetically. No more. What time is it now? Lin Yi looked back at the sky outside. There are still a few hours before dinner time. Why are there no more? The business of Tianyue Restaurant should be better. Looking at Lin Yi's reaction, the waiter still maintained a polite smile, but he despised her in his heart. Don't you know where this is? This is Tianyue Restaurant. The largest restaurant in the Sky Cloud realm. If you want a private room, you have to book at least 1 day in advance. Moreover, this is the headquarters of Tianyue Restaurant. They are dressed well, and their temperament is okay. Why do they look like two bumpkins? You too, if you continue to hesitate, you won't even have a seat in the hall. The waiter reminded them. Ah. Lin Yi quickly looked at the hall. Sure enough, there was only one empty table left. Let's have a seat in the hall. Qin Feiyang looked at Lin Yi and said with a smile. But don't you like quiet? Lin Yi frowned. It's okay. It just so happens that I want to inquire about the situation of Demon Palace. Qin Feiyang secretly said. A place like the hall where crooks mixed with honest folk was the best place to inquire about information. Okay. Lin Yi nodded, pointed to the empty table, and said to the waiter, let's have a seat there. Okay. The waiter yelled and took Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi to the table. After the two sat down, the waiter smiled and said, what do you two need? I'll leave it to you. Qin Feiyang looked at Lin Yi and smiled. Lin Yi thought for a while and looked at the waiter with a smile, anything is fine. Okay. The waiter nodded, turned around, and left quickly. These two are really interesting. How can they come to a restaurant so casually? It seems that they are really from the countryside. They haven't seen much of the world and are frightened. There is still half a year before the Demon Palace assessment begins. Brother, do you want to give it a try? In the hall, the sound of discussion was incessant. It was very noisy. But this sentence was clearly captured by Qin Feiyang. His heart moved immediately. He turned his head to look at the next table and saw two young men, one in black and one in white, sitting opposite each other. The person who asked was the young man in black on the left. Both of their cultivation bases were not high. They were only in the 9th heaven realm. They were quite ordinary, but they were not old. Demon Palace assessment. The young man in white held a wine glass, pondered for a while, shook his head, and sighed, I'm not going. Not going. The young man in black was taken aback. He put down the wine glass that was already at his mouth and said suspiciously, didn't you always say that you want to enter the Demon Palace? That was before. As for now, I'm going to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance in the Western Continent. The young man in white shook his head. When talking about the Demon Palace, Qin Feiyang clearly caught a trace of disgust in the eyes of the young man in white. Chapter 43-28. What the hell is going on? Qin Feiyang frowned. His feelings for Demon Palace were obvious to all, so he didn't want Demon Palace to become like this. The two young men spoke again. That's true. Rogue Cultivator Alliance is much better than Demon Palace now. To be honest, we should have supported Rogue Cultivator Alliance to stay in the Eastern Continent and let Demon Palace go to the Western Continent. The black-clothed young man shook his head and said. This kind of thing isn't something small people like you and me can decide. Moreover, it was Qin Feiyang's idea to move Rogue Cultivator Alliance to the Western Continent back then. The white-clothed young man said. Speaking of Qin Feiyang, I really admire him. Back then, he, Frenzy, Golden-Winged Wolf King, Long Qin, Long Qin, Yun Xiang, Masked Shura, and Li Feng. Even when facing the sky prides of the Divine Kingdom, they didn't change their expressions. If it weren't for these people, our sky cloud realm would have been finished long ago. The black-clothed young man's eyes were full of admiration. Yeah. We have to thank them. Otherwise, how can we live in peace now? In fact, it's reasonable to say that we should all enter Demon Palace. After all, Qin Feiyang and the others were once disciples of Demon Palace, but now, the white-clothed young man looked quite distressed, but he didn't finish his words. He waved his hand and said, forget it. Let's not talk about these things, lest the people of Demon Palace hear it and cause a disaster. N. The black-clothed young man nodded, raised his wine glass, and smiled, come, let's drink. I will go to the Western Continent with you tomorrow. Even if I can't pass the assessment and become a disciple of Rogue Cultivator Alliance, it's worth it as long as I can see the glory of Rogue Cultivator Alliance. With brother accompanying me, I won't be lonely along the way. The white-clothed young man couldn't help but chuckle. At this time, the waiter came over with a few dishes and a pot of wine. "Young master, miss, the dishes are here. If you need anything later, just tell me." After putting down the dishes, the waiter left in a hurry. Why did he bring a pot of wine? Lin Yi looked at the wine pot in astonishment. "Didn't you say anything was fine? You eat first. I'll go gather some information." Qin Feiyang smiled. Twisting the wine pot, he stood up and walked to the table beside him. Looking at the two youths, he smiled and said, "Brothers, can I have a chat with you?" "Ah." The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "Don't worry, I definitely won't drink your wine," Qin Feiyang said half-jokingly. As soon as he said this, the two of them laughed involuntarily. The young man in white pointed at the empty stool beside him and said with a smile, "Brother, you're quite humorous. Have a seat." "Thank you." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. He sat in front of the table and poured wine for the two of them. "Wait a moment. One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Brother, why don't you tell us why you're here? If it weren't for your wine, we wouldn't dare to drink it." The young man in white stopped Qin Feiyang and laughed. "I just want to gather some information." Qin Feiyang gently pushed the young man in white's hand away and filled the wine cups in front of the two of them. "Gather some information?" The two youths looked at each other, the suspicion in their eyes growing stronger. Qin Feiyang also poured a cup for himself and said with a smile, "Let me toast the two of you first." After saying that, he raised his head and drank it in one gulp. The wine of Heavenly Joy House wasn't too bad. After all, it was the largest restaurant in the Sky Cloud realm. However, Qin Feiyang found it really unpalatable when he drank it. The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang in bewilderment, then they also drank the wine in their cups. Qin Feiyang filled their cups again before getting to the main topic. He smiled and said, "I heard the two of you talking about the Demon Palace just now. It seems like you have a big prejudice against the Demon Palace." Hearing this, the two of them immediately became vigilant. Don't worry. I'm not a disciple of the Demon Palace. Previously, I had a small conflict with a core disciple of the Demon Palace in an accessory store." Qin Feiyang quickly comforted them. "What? You had a conflict with a core disciple of the Demon Palace?" The two of them jumped in fright. "Yes. My sister took a fancy to a jade hairpin. In the end, that disciple of the Demon Palace ran in and directly snatched it from my sister's head." Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. "So that's how it is." The black-clothed youth nodded in understanding and asked, "Then you didn't mess with him, right?" The white-clothed youth looked at the black-clothed youth and said with a smile, "Brother, if he did, would he still be sitting here and drinking with us?" The black-clothed youth was stunned and nodded, "That's true. Not to mention a core disciple of the Demon Palace, even an outer sect disciple wouldn't have a good ending if they provoked him." After saying that, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Brother, you should really go and burn incense. You managed to survive. Is it that exaggerated?" Qin Feiyang was shocked and said suspiciously, "When I was in the village, I heard that the Demon Palace was pretty good." The two of them looked at each other and then at Qin Feiyang. They shook their heads and said, "So you siblings came from the countryside? No wonder you're so naive." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. The white-clothed youth glanced at the surrounding guests and said in a low voice, "Brother, to tell you the truth, the Demon Palace was indeed not bad in the past. Not only were they very friendly to the people of the Eastern continent, but they also took care of them very well. But now, it's different." "Different?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Yes. It's not an exaggeration to say that the current demon palace is a gathering place for a bunch of mobs. The white-clothed youth said in disgust. Is that really the case? We siblings are still preparing to participate in the demon palace's assessment. Because our village is proud of entering the demon palace. Qin Feiyang said. You still want to participate in the assessment? The white-clothed youth glanced at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi and whispered, Brother, listen to my advice. Don't go. If you really want to stand out, you might as well go to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Even if you don't go to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, it's better to go to the Heavenly Temple and Divine Temple than to enter the Demon Palace. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, Then, can you explain the reason in detail? It's fate that we met. All right. We'll tell you in detail. The Demon Palace was indeed good in the past. We all wanted to enter. But in recent years, the Demon Palace seemed to have inflated. They have become selfish, indifferent, and ruthless. Especially the disciples below. Each of them is like a playboy. They are arrogant and domineering outside all day long. The white-clothed youth said in a low voice. So that's what happened. Qin Feiyang suddenly realized and asked, Are there many such disciples? Yes. Almost half of them. Being arrogant and domineering is still light. Some even bully people outside. The white-clothed youth shook his head. So overboard? Then, the upper echelons of the Demon Palace don't do anything about it. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Do something about it? Who will do something about it? Can ordinary people like us meet the upper echelons of the Demon Palace? I remember that last year, there was a Demon Palace disciple in a small town. Someone seemed to have offended him. In the end, this disciple killed that person's family because of a disagreement. This person ran to the Demon Palace to seek justice. In the end, before he could enter the Demon Palace, he was stopped by the Demon Palace's deacon elder. The white-clothed youth shook his head. And then? Qin Feiyang asked. Then, not only did the deacon elder not seek justice for him, he even silenced him. Brother, tell me now. Is such a demon palace still worth us risking our lives to enter? The white-clothed youth said. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists and said in a deep voice, Where do they find the capital to be so arrogant? Capital? Is there even a need to say it? Their capital is Qin Feiyang, Madman Mo, and Golden-Winged Wolf King. The black-clothed youth sighed. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang frowned. How could this matter have anything to do with them? Qin Feiyang, Madman Mo, and Golden-Winged Wolf King were all disciples of the Demon Palace. In the past, the Demon Palace helped these three the most. It is also because of this that after these three rose to power, they took special care of the Demon Palace and even treated the Demon Palace as their home. In the beginning, it was still fine because these three were there. The disciples of the Demon Palace were very low-key. But good times didn't last. Not long after, these three went to the Divine Kingdom. With their departure, the Demon Palace seemed to have lost their deterrence. The disciples of the Demon Palace gradually became arrogant and looked down on everyone. In the end, this situation became worse and worse. Now, they have reached a state of lawlessness. Most importantly, no one dares to interfere because they are afraid of offending Qin Feiyang and the other two. Even the Kirans, Feng people, and dragons pretended not to see the disciples of the Demon Palace bullying others. The white-clothed youth sighed. Qin Feiyang said, So as time passed, they became more and more unscrupulous. That's right. Now, our eastern continent is in a mess because of these people. I just can't figure it out. They are all overlords and are related to Qin Feiyang and the other two. Why are the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, the Heavenly Palace, and the Divine Palace so self-disciplined? Brother, look, I am a native of the Eastern Continent. Now, I have to go to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance of the Western Continent. don't you think it's ridiculous? The white-clothed youth was heartbroken and his face was full of disappointment. Those big shots of the demon palace don't care about these things. Qin Feiyang asked. Them? For so many years, I have never seen them show their faces. I don't even know where they are hiding and living a leisurely life. Moreover, big shots like them don't care about the life and death of small fries like us. The two shook their heads. Qin Feiyang frowned. The demon palace had become like this. Elder Hua, Chu Yun, and the hall master didn't show up. What were they trying to do? Brother, why don't we do this? We are going to the western continent tomorrow. You and your sister can come with us. We can take care of each other at that time. The white-clothed youth looked at Qin Feiyang and invited him in a friendly manner. Thank you, brother. I will discuss it with my sister later. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay. The white-clothed youth nodded. Then, I will go first. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he left the wine pot and stood up. You forgot the wine. The black-clothed youth said quickly. I will give it to you. Qin Feiyang smiled, turned around, walked to Lin Yi, and sat down. Chapter 43-29. How is the investigation going? Lin Yi asked with a smile. Sigh. I didn't expect that our care of Demon Palace would become the capital for these Demon Palace disciples to be arrogant. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. In this world, aren't most people like this? Lin Yi smiled. I'm quite disappointed. But I'm puzzled. Why didn't Elder Hua and the others come out to take care of it? Why did they allow the disciples to continue to make trouble? Qin Feiyang frowned. Lin Yi said, I heard from Little Rabbit about this. Elder Hua and the others seem to be in close cultivation. Close cultivation. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Didn't you give them the epitome of the law? After you left the Sky Cloud realm, Elder Hua and the Alliance Master basically went into close cultivation. Lin Yi smiled. Qin Feiyang said, in other words, it is the people below who are managing Demon Palace now? I guess so. Lin Yi nodded. Elder Hua and the others really trusted the wrong person. I'm very curious now. Who is managing Demon Palace now and can manage it to this extent? Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered with a cold light. Then, let's go to Demon Palace to take a look. Lin Yi asked. Qin Feiyang glanced at the top floor and didn't sense Yueqing's aura. It was meaningless to continue to stay here. They might as well go to Demon Palace to take a look. For the future of Demon Palace, this time, it might be necessary to have a bloodbath. However, just as the two were about to get up and pay the bill, a young man in purple strode in. Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi were taken aback. Isn't this person Theta Wang Chuan who was arrogant and domineering in the accessory store? What a coincidence, he also came to Tianyue building. Greetings, young Master Wang. When the shop assistant saw Theta Wang Chuan, his pupils shrank slightly, and he hurriedly greeted him. It was obvious. Theta Wang Chuan was also a regular here. Is there a private room upstairs? Theta Wang Chuan asked. Sorry, it's full. The shop assistant smiled flatteringly. Full. Hearing this, Theta Wang Chuan couldn't help but frown. He scanned the hall and muttered, perhaps the effect would be better if we were in the hall. What did you say? The waiter looked at him suspiciously. It's nothing. Theta Wang Chuan shook her head and asked, are there any seats left in the hall? It's best if it's near the center. There's nothing in the hall either. The remaining table from before is already occupied by those two. The shop assistant pointed at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi and looked at Theta Wang Chuan with a smile. Theta Wang Chuan followed her gaze, and a playful look appeared in his eyes. It was truly a small world for enemies to meet again. Immediately, he pointed at Qin Feiyang and Zhang Wuji and said, "I want that table." "That's not good. They haven't finished eating yet." The shop assistant looked at Theta Wang Chuan awkwardly. "You two blind idiots, why are you still eating so much? Tell them to scram immediately." Theta Wang Chuan said arrogantly. The shop assistant frowned. "What's wrong? As a core disciple of Devil Hall, my words don't work." Theta Wang Chuan glared at the shop assistant. No. Don't worry. I'll discuss with them." The shop assistant smiled flatteringly and immediately ran toward Qin Feiyang and Zhang Wuji. He sighed in his heart. If only the two building masters were here. The two building masters were close friends with Qin Feiyang, Golden Wing Wolf King, and Madman Mo. No matter how arrogant Theta Wang Chuan was, he didn't dare to be arrogant in front of the two building masters. Unfortunately, the two building masters were not here at the moment. As a shop assistant, he didn't dare to offend the core disciples of Devil Hall. Both the young man in white and the young man in black looked at this scene and secretly asked Qin Feiyang with a voice transmission, "Brother, is he the Theta Wang Chuan you just mentioned?" Qin Feiyang nodded. "Then you siblings are really unlucky to meet him again in a blink of an eye. Listen to your brother. Quickly pay the bill and leave, or come to sit with us. Don't provoke him again." The two advised with a voice transmission. "Thank you. Let me check the situation first." Qin Feiyang thanked them and looked at the shop assistant who ran toward him. The shop assistant looked at Qin Feiyang and Zhang Wuji and said with an apologetic face, "Both of you, you heard it too. I'm really sorry. As an apology, we will waive all your expenses today." Lin Yi was about to get up. She wasn't being patient. She just didn't want to be affected by someone like Theta Wang Chuan. Such a person was just a clown in front of her. There was nothing to be angry about. But at this time, Qin Feiyang grabbed Lin Yi and looked at the shop assistant with a smile. "Do we look like people who lack money?" The shop assistant looked stiff. He thought that as long as he reasoned with them and moved them emotionally, coupled with Theta Wang Chuan's identity, he would definitely be able to convince them. But he didn't expect that they would embarrass him instead. Two bumpkins from the countryside. What's there to be arrogant about? The shop assistant suppressed the anger in his heart and whispered, "Both of you may not know his identity. His name is Theta Wang Chuan. He is a core disciple of the Demon Palace. Even I dare not offend him. You." Qin Feiyang looked at the shop assistant and said faintly, "Of course, you don't dare to offend him because you are just a little shop assistant. But although you are just a shop assistant, your performance is really disappointing." "What do you mean?" The shop assistant was furious. How dare he humiliate him? The other guests around also looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. This person must have eaten a leopard's guts. How dare he be so arrogant in the face of a core disciple of the Demon Palace? "What I mean is, us siblings are guests. Now we are sitting here eating. As a shop assistant here, not only did you not stand up to protect our rights, but you also asked us to leave in advance because you are afraid of the Demon Palace's disciples. I would like to ask, who is the one who asked you to do business? Yuqing or Yi Miao?" Qin Feiyang's face was quite ugly. How long has it been since they left the Sky Cloud realm? Not only have the Demon Palace's disciples become so rampant, but even the shop assistant of the Tianyue restaurant has become so snobbish. It seems that a good reorganization is needed. The shop assistant's face changed and shouted, "How dare you call the two tower masters by their names? Indeed, he is bold. The two tower masters of the Tianyue restaurant are both Qin Feiyang's women. Even the tycoons of major forces have to be polite to them." The people around whispered. When Lin Yi heard these discussions, she chuckled secretly, "Brother Feiyang, when did these two building masters become your women? Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched and said helplessly, don't you know? The most terrible thing in this world is gossip. There had been such rumors in the Sky Cloud realm a long time ago. They said that there was an ambiguous relationship between him and Yuqing. But there was no such thing. It was just that he was too lazy to explain, so he didn't come forward to clarify. But he didn't expect that after leaving the Sky Cloud realm for so many years, these rumors were still there. Fortunately, the people around him knew him better. He was not a promiscuous person. Otherwise, he couldn't explain it clearly even if he had 100 mouths. Get out of here immediately. Don't ever step into my Tianyue restaurant again. The shop assistant pointed to the door and looked at Qin Feiyang angrily. The young man in white and the young man in black at the next table looked at each other and couldn't help but feel powerless. They wanted to help, but they didn't dare. Whether it was the Demon Palace's disciples or the Tianyue restaurant, they couldn't afford to offend them. Hurry up and leave. Otherwise, you might not have a chance later. The young man in white transmitted his voice. Brother, thank you for your concern. Today, I'm really going to go against them. I want to see how awe-inspiring the Demon Palace's disciples and the shop assistant of the Tianyue restaurant are. Qin Feiyang smiled inwardly. Aren't you courting death? Even if you don't think for yourself, think for your sister. She's a girl. How can she withstand such torment? The two of them tried their best to persuade him. It was obvious that they were kind-hearted. Moreover, they had a sense of justice when they saw the pain and hatred they felt for the Demon Palace. Seeing that Qin Feiyang and the young man in black didn't move, the shop assistant roared angrily, didn't you hear me tell you to get out? Do you want me to chase you out? You're just a mere shop assistant, yet you're so overbearing, telling customers to get out so easily. I'm really curious how Yuqing and Yi Miao usually teach you. Qin Feiyang looked at the shop assistant with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Just a shop assistant? The shop assistant flew into a rage out of humiliation and smirked, even if I'm just a shop assistant, I'm still better than a bumpkin like you. Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Theta Wang Chuan, who was standing behind, finally lost his patience. He strode over and stared at Qin Feiyang and the young man in black. I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to get out or not? Today, we're really not going to leave. Lin Yi was also angry. She had already been merciful in the jewelry store before. But she didn't expect that they would come to provoke her. And it was a deliberate provocation. Good, very good. Theta Wang Chuan smirked, and a murderous aura permeated. Qin Feiyang looked at Theta Wang Chuan in front of him and couldn't help but feel sad in his heart. Is this the talent he cultivated with countless resources to create the Tianyun divine treasure? It's ridiculous. Theta Wang Chuan, what are you looking for me for? The atmosphere in the hall became more and more solemn. Suddenly, a crisp voice sounded. N. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. This voice seems a bit familiar. He raised his head and looked outside suspiciously. He saw a young woman in a long white dress walking quickly into the restaurant. It's her. Looking at the woman who came in and Theta Wang Chuan, Qin Feiyang was surprised. Brother Feiyang, do you know her? Lin Yi was suspicious. Yes. Her name is Shen Xiaojia. I met her in the Shen family village and I comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death. When I first saw her, she was just a little girl. I just didn't expect that she would be with someone like Theta Wang Chuan now. Qin Feiyang frowned. Shen Xiaojia was a lively and lovely girl in his impression. She didn't hate evil, but she could at least distinguish what was good and evil. It stood to reason that she should hate people like Theta Wang Chuan. It turns out that she is from the Shen family village. Lin Yi suddenly realized. Although she had been in seclusion, she still knew about the situation in the Shen family village. Because the battle between Qin Feiyang and others and the king broke out in the Shen family village. At that time, Qin Feiyang and others desperately protected the Shen family village, making the Shen family village, an obscure village, the focus of the Tianyun realm. The Shen family village had also made great strides since then. The juniors of the Shen family village had basically joined the Demon Palace and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Chapter 43-30. Including Shen Xiaojia. And back then, Qin Feiyang broke out of his cocoon and became a butterfly in the Shen family village. He comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death. Everyone in the village was influenced by the law of life and death. In short, it was a rebirth. It could be said that, whether it was an old man like Shen Mulin or a junior like Shen Xiaojia, they had all become cultivation geniuses. In addition, back then, Qin Feiyang had personally taught juniors like Shen Xiaojia. Although Qin Feiyang's strength back then wasn't as strong as it was now, in the Sky Cloud realm, he could be considered the number one person. To put it bluntly, even a person with mediocre talent could become a first-rate genius under his guidance. So, now, the juniors of the Shen family village had already emerged. Whether it was in the Demon Palace or the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, they had a certain prestige. Of course, the biggest reason was Qin Feiyang. Because everyone knew that the Shen family village had helped Qin Feiyang. Xiaojia. At the same time, seeing Shen Xiaojia coming, Theta Wangchuan's eyes lit up and quickly greeted her. "I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Hurry up, why are you looking for me?" Shen Xiaojia spoke with a cold tone. "Don't worry. Well, wait for me for a while." Theta Wangchuan comforted and ran to Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi again, whispering, "For the last time, get out of here immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Lin Yi frowned. "You still want to take advantage of me?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly. He turned to look at the black-shirt youth and the white-shirt youth and smiled, "Two brothers, why don't we sit here first?" Sure. I just asked you and your sister to come over, but you are so stubborn." The two nodded. They were very loyal. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang thanked them and gave Lin Yi a wink. Lin Yi was a little puzzled, but she was still very obedient. Immediately, the two carried the dishes on the table and walked to the table of the two young men and sat down. "Brother Sanchuan, my apologies. This little brother of mine just came from the countryside and doesn't know the rules. If he offends you, please be magnanimous and don't hold it against him." The two young men were worried that Theta Wangchuan would take revenge on Qin Feiyang, so they stood up and bowed, pleading on Qin Feiyang's behalf. Lin Yi looked at the two in surprise. Seriously? These two people were really not bad. At this moment, the hall was full of guests, but among so many people, who stood out to help Qin Feiyang. They were all minding their own business, afraid of offending Theta Wangchuan. However, these two young men were completely unrelated to them. They had only drunk 2 cups of wine with them before. Yet now, they actually stood up to help them without the slightest hesitation. He even apologized to Theta Wangchuan on behalf of Qin Feiyang. If they knew Qin Feiyang's identity, they would probably be putting on an act. But at this moment, no one here knew Qin Feiyang's identity. They didn't know Qin Feiyang's identity, but they still came to help them enthusiastically. This showed that these two young men were warm-hearted and good people. Wang Sanchuan looked at the two young men and said indifferently, "Seeing that your attitude is not bad, I won't bicker with them this time. But in the future, remember to remind them that when they walk outside, it's best to be observant." Yes. Sorry. The two young men put their palms together and bowed again and again. Theta Wangchuan ignored them and turned to look at the waiter, "Clean it up immediately." "Okay." The waiter nodded. Theta Wang Chuan ran to Shen Xiaojia again with a flattering expression on his face. Thank you, brothers. However, aren't you afraid that Theta Wang Chuan will vent his anger on you for helping us? Lin Yi glanced at Theta Wang Chuan's back, looked at the two young men, and asked in a low voice. Yes, of course. But there is a good saying. Rely on your parents at home and rely on your friends outside. And I can't stand honest people being bullied the most. The young man in white shook his head. Yes. Especially this kind of dog that bullies others. If it weren't for the Demon Palace backing him up, what is he? However, we really have to be careful, lest we be targeted by him. We won't have a good life. The young man in black transmitted his voice. Yes. We will leave later and go to the western continent. The young man in white nodded. Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi looked at each other. They were more and more impressed with these two people. This is the kind of person that should be cultivated. It is a waste to give resources to someone like Theta Wang Chuan. Lin Yi looked at Theta Wang Chuan and Shen Xiaojia, who were already sitting at the table, and secretly wondered, Brother Feiyang, what do you want to do? Don't worry. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly. While drinking with the two young men, he paid attention to Theta Wang Chuan and Shen Xiaojia. The waiter had already cleaned up the table. But Theta Wang Chuan still felt that it was not clean enough. He took out a handkerchief and wiped it carefully. Then, he chatted with Shen Xiaojia. They talked about very common topics. For example, how are you recently? Have you encountered any troubles? Wait. Soon. The waiter brought a few dishes that looked, smelled good. There was also a pot of superb wine. I don't drink. Just when Theta Wang Chuan was about to pour wine for Shen Xiaojia removed the wine glass and shook her head. Theta Wang Chuan was taken aback and smiled flatteringly, then, have some tea. The tea in Tianyue building is also very good. Shen Xiaojia looked at Theta Wang Chuan, frowned slightly, and asked, Are you okay? If you have something to say, just say it. If not, I will go back to cultivate. Hearing these words, Shen Xiaojia looked at Theta Wang Chuan's eyes. She didn't seem to like him very much. You don't have to be in a hurry to cultivate. Theta Wang Chuan smiled apologetically. Then, he took out an exquisite gift box from the universe ring and handed it to Shen Xiaojia. Shen Xiaojia looked at the gift box suspiciously. Theta Wang Chuan smiled and said, I have been running around for several days to prepare this for you. I hope you will like it. I don't deserve it. Shen Xiaojia shook her head and did not open the gift box. Theta Wang Chuan's expression stiffened. He hurriedly said, Xiaojia, aren't you treating me like an outsider? You see, we have known each other for several years. Even if you don't like me, we can still be close friends. Isn't it normal for friends to give each other a small gift? Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi suddenly realized. It turned out that this Theta Wang Chuan was pursuing Shen Xiaojia. Lin Yi asked with a voice transmission, Brother Feiyang, do you think that the hairpin we saw before is in that box? It should be. After all this time, it is for this girl. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly. It seems that this girl is quite popular with men. But after taking a closer look, the little girl back then was now slender and graceful. She did have some charm. Sigh. But the young man in white next to him suddenly sighed. Brother, why are you sighing? Qin Feiyang looked at the young man in white suspiciously. The young man in white secretly said, Brother, you don't know. This woman named Shen Xiaojia is from the Shen family village. Shen family village? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. In fact, this Shen family village used to be very inconspicuous. There weren't even a few decent powerhouses. But they were lucky to meet Qin Feiyang and other lords. The young man in white smiled enviously. I don't know about this yet. Qin Feiyang shook his head. You just came from the countryside. It's normal that you don't know. It is said that when Qin Feiyang comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, he traveled around the world and finally stopped in front of a small village. This small village is the Shen family village. Later, Qin Feiyang also successfully comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death in the Shen family village and became the first person in our sky cloud realm. Because of this, Qin Feiyang and the Shen family village formed a good relationship. It is also because of this relationship that all forces take good care of the people of the Shen family village. And several major forces in our sky cloud realm, Demon Palace, Heavenly Palace, Divine Palace, and Rogue Cultivator Alliance, which one has nothing to do with Qin Feiyang. So in these years, the Shen family has become a hidden wealthy family in the sky cloud realm in one fell swoop. The reason why it is called a hidden wealthy family is because the Shen family village did not take the opportunity to expand its scale. Just like before, they have been living in seclusion in the mountains and living a very low-key life. However, the younger generation of the Shen family village is basically in various forces now. And, they all show extraordinary talent. It can be said that the transformation of the Shen family village is entirely because of Lord Qin Feiyang. But it is also because of the relationship between the Shen family village and Qin Feiyang that the young disciples of various forces can't help but have the idea of taking a shortcut. The young man in white sighed. Taking a shortcut? Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi looked at each other, their eyes full of suspicion. Yes. Just like this Shen Xiaojia. It is said that Lord Qin Feiyang watched her grow up. He even personally taught her cultivation. Think about it. If anyone can capture Shen Xiaojia's heart and marry her, isn't it equivalent to climbing the relationship with Qin Feiyang? The young man in white transmitted his voice. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he frowned slightly and said secretly, "Brother, do you mean that this Theta Wang Chuan doesn't really like Shen Xiaojia, but he wants to climb the backing of Qin Feiyang? Isn't it obvious?" Obviously. I heard that a few years ago, there was a big family in the western continent. In order to climb the social ladder with the Shen family village, the family master of this big family even sent his daughter to him. The young man in black secretly said. His eyes were full of contempt. There is such a thing. Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned. What happened in the end? This person called Shen Dazhuang, did he accept this patriarch's daughter? It seems that he didn't. It is said that this Shen Dazhuang is honest and straightforward. He is also a good person. Some people also say that he has the best relationship with Qin Feiyang. But I just don't know if it is true. The young man in black shook his head. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed an imperceptible smile. It seems that this kid didn't let me down. At least in terms of character, there is no big problem. Qin Feiyang looked at Theta Wang Chuan again. He couldn't help but want to laugh. Such a person wants to climb the social ladder with me. He is thinking too much. Chapter 43-31. Theta Wang Chuan was still trying to curry favor. Shen Xiaojia looked at Theta Wang Chuan with a slight frown. Xiaojia, I know that you don't like me, but I don't care. As long as I can protect you at all times, I'm already very satisfied. Theta Wang Chuan said sincerely. And his voice wasn't soft either. It wasn't just the people in the hall. Even the people in the private rooms upstairs could hear him clearly. Isn't that senior brother Theta Wang Chuan's voice? Shen Xiaojia? Is senior brother confessing to Shen Xiaojia? 6 young men walked out from a private room on the 3rd floor. The 6 of them were dressed in luxurious clothes and had outstanding temperaments. The auras they exuded were also very strong. Moreover, each of them had a woman in heavy makeup in their arms. They were clearly here to have fun. It really is senior brother Wang. Looking at Theta Wang Chuan downstairs, the 6 of them didn't care what kind of situation they were in and laughed heartily. You guys are here too. Theta Wang Chuan looked up at the six and smiled. We just happened to be drinking here. Senior brother Wang, are you confessing to junior sister Shen? The six of them were curious. Don't talk nonsense. Theta Wang Chuan glared at them with a very righteous look. But as he spoke, he secretly gave the six of them a look. The six of them looked at each other and understood. Junior sister Shen, look at how infatuated senior brother Wang is with you. Why don't you accept him? That's right. Senior brother Wang is such a good man. He will definitely treat you well for the rest of his life. And when the two of you stand together, you really look like a match made in heaven. If you don't believe me, you can ask the others. The six of them laughed. In this world, there was no lack of people who would blindly join in on the fun. As the six of them finished speaking, many people in the hall began to join in on the fun. In the end, they even roared that they should be together, be together. The white-clad youth glanced at the six people on the second floor and sighed, little brother, do you see that? These are the disciples of the demon royal halls. They are not working hard on their cultivation when they have such good resources. Instead, they all come to the tavern to seek pleasure. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the six people upstairs. They were indeed quite disappointing. What was the difference between these people and those hedonistic sons of rich parents who were idling about and abusing their power? Then he looked at Theta Wang Chuan. At this moment, he was very pleased with himself. However, when he noticed that Qin Feiyang's group of four were sitting on the side in silence, he couldn't help but turn his head to stare at them, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Together, together. The white-clothed young man and the white-clothed man's expression changed, and they immediately shouted. At the same time, he also signaled Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi to shout together. This is too childish. Lin Yi was speechless. It is indeed childish. You want an outsider to help you confess to a woman? Don't try to show off if you don't have the ability. Qin Feiyang shook his head. As soon as these two sentences came out, the whole scene fell into dead silence. The white-clothed young man and the white-clothed man's expression also changed abruptly. They quickly said secretly, brother, what are you doing? Aren't you deliberately provoking him? Sorry, we will leave now. The black-clothed young man got up and looked at Theta Wang Chuan, whose face was gloomy, and smiled apologetically. Then, he put down a pile of divine crystals, pulled Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi, and ran outside. Leave. Theta Wang Chuan smiled coldly. He stepped in front of the four people, stared at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi, and said, make it clear, who doesn't have the ability, and who is trying to show off. Isn't this obvious to all? Qin Feiyang chuckled and asked, would you like me to say another sentence to you? Don't be a toad thinking about eating swan meat all day long. You don't have the strength. Damn it. Why are they still arguing with each other? Is he really not afraid of death? The guests around all looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. He actually scolded the core disciples of the demon palace as toads. The black-clothed young man and the white-clothed man were completely desperate. They had humiliated the other party like this. How could the other party still give them a way out? Yo! Where did this little reptile come from? How dare he humiliate our demon palace's disciples recklessly? Accompanied by a strange cry, the 6 demon palace's disciples upstairs released the women in their arms and landed beside Theta Wang Chuan. The girls looked at Qin Feiyang with ridicule in their eyes. Especially the waiter from before, he had no intention to dissuade them at all. He stood together silently and looked at Qin Feiyang with gloating eyes. Sorry, it's all our fault. We apologize. We apologize, sirs, please be magnanimous. Don't lower yourself to our level, okay? Facing such a situation, the black-clothed young man and the white-clothed young man were very nervous. They kept hinting Qin Feiyang to apologize. There's no need to be afraid. Qin Feiyang smiled placatingly. Then, he returned to the table and sat down. He looked at the six and asked, "You are also Demon Palace's disciples?" "That's right. How about it? Do you want to beat us up? Do you have the guts?" The six were extremely arrogant and fearless. They felt like they were the rulers of the Eastern continent. As Demon Palace's disciples, you are not cultivating properly in the Demon Palace, working hard to become the pillars of the Eastern continent, protecting the people of this continent. Instead, you come out to seek pleasure and bully others. Let me ask you, are you worthy of the resources that the Demon Palace gave you? Qin Feiyang asked indifferently. Haha, he actually said that he wants us to become the pillars of the Eastern continent, protecting the people of this continent. He must be talking in his sleep. We haven't even had enough fun. How can we be in the mood to protect unrelated people? Let's talk about this later. The resources were given to us by Lord Hall Master. What does it have to do with you? The six kept mocking Xiao Qian. They looked at Qin Feiyang as though they were looking at a clown. I see. You guys haven't had enough fun. Then why did you guys enter the Demon Palace? Are you guys thinking of using the Demon Palace as your backing to bully others outside? Qin Feiyang's eyes had a hint of anger. What kind of people were they? They had given so many resources to nurture a bunch of irresponsible trash. No. These people were worse than trash. Are you done being arrogant? Fine. You said that we bully others because of our power, right? Today, we'll bully others because of our power. Kneel down and kowtow to me right now and apologize. Otherwise, we'll break your dog legs today. The six of them didn't hold back at all and were extremely arrogant. Is that so? I'm sitting right here. If you guys are capable, come and break my legs. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered coldly. Do you think we don't dare? Theta Wang Chuan laughed sinisterly and shouted, "Brothers, kill him." All right. Kid, you're courting death. Don't blame us for bullying you. The six of them laughed and immediately surrounded Qin Feiyang. Are you guys done? However, at this moment, Shen Xiaojia, who was sitting at the table, suddenly stood up and stared at Theta Wang Chuan and the others. She said in a deep voice, "Don't forget that you guys are disciples of the Demon Palace. What you're doing is ruining the reputation of the Demon Palace." Junior sister Shen, what are you talking about? We're protecting the reputation of the Demon Palace now. That's right. This ignorant fool actually dared to humiliate us in front of so many people. If we don't teach him a lesson, who in the Eastern continent will respect the Demon Palace in the future? Theta Wang Chuan and the others said angrily. But you guys are the ones who started the trouble first. Shen Xiaojia's eyes were filled with disgust. Junior sister Shen, I don't agree with this. We're disciples of the Demon Palace. What's wrong with criticizing him? If it weren't for the selfless contributions of the Demon Palace, would they be living such a peaceful life now? The few of them sneered. Bastard! I can't help it. Who doesn't know that the people who protect the Eastern continent and the Sky Cloud realm have always been Qin Feiyang and the others? If it weren't for the few of them protecting us, would the Demon Palace have the glory it has today? Not to mention the powerful divine kingdom, even the dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race wouldn't be able to stop them. The black-clothed and white-clothed youths roared. These disciples of the Demon Palace were really shameless to the extreme. It was clearly Qin Feiyang and the others who had done the work, but now they were taking all the credit. They didn't even blush and spoke so righteously. Junior sister Shen, do you see that? They're getting more and more presumptuous. If we don't kill them today, they might even ride on the heads of the Demon Palace and behave atrociously in the future. The few of them glared at Qin Feiyang and the others with undisguised killing intent. Don't you dare. Shen Xiaojia's eyes turned cold. She stepped in front of Qin Feiyang and the others and smiled. Don't be afraid. I'm here. The white-clothed youths looked at each other and couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. A smile also appeared on Qin Feiyang's face. This little girl was still as kind and righteous as before. Xiaojia, Theta Wang Chuan frowned. Shen Xiaojia turned to look at the 7 of them and said coldly, "Get out of the way." You, Theta Wang Chuan felt that he had lost face. "Do you really want me to tell you to get out?" Shen Xiaojia shouted. Theta Wang Chuan clenched his fists and turned to the 6 of them. He said angrily, "Get out of the way." "Senior brother," the 6 of them frowned. "Hurry up." Theta Wang Chuan roared. The 6 of them unwillingly retreated to the side. "Let's go." Shen Xiaojia looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and said with a smile. Then, she looked at Theta Wang Chuan and said, "Don't bother me again in the future because you don't deserve it." After saying that, he walked out without looking back. The white-clothed youth and the black-clothed youth quickly followed behind Shen Xiaojia. "Brother Feiyang, what about us?" Lin Yi looked at Qin Feiyang, who was still sitting at the table. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, got up, and took Lin Yi. He walked past Theta Wang Chuan and the others and walked toward the door. "Wait. I will let you know the price of offending me." Theta Wang Chuan's voice came into Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi's minds. Lin Yi's eyes flashed with murderous intent immediately. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed and stopped. He turned to look at Theta Wang Chuan and shook his head, "You have missed too many opportunities." "What do you mean?" This sudden sentence made Theta Wang Chuan somewhat inexplicable. "It means that you have missed a lot of opportunities to survive." Boom. Lin Yi said coldly. In an instant, a terrifying aura burst out from his body. The entire Tianyue building shook suddenly. Theta Wang Chuan and the others spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out on the spot. Chapter 43-32. N. Shen Xiaojia and the 2 young men looked back at Lin Yi in surprise. The same went for the other guests and waiters in the restaurant. What's going on? Someone actually dares to make trouble in the Tianyue restaurant. Don't you know who is behind the Tianyue restaurant? The people on the street outside also stopped and gathered around the door to see the situation inside. Theta Wang Chuan and the other 2 smashed a few tables and chairs and rolled on the ground awkwardly. Then, they all stared at Lin Yi, who was standing next to Qin Feiyang, in disbelief. Her aura is so terrifying. The young man in white and the young man in black recovered from their shock. They glanced at the embarrassed Theta Wang Chuan and the other 2, and then at the murderous Lin Yi. Then, they ran to Qin Feiyang and said in surprise, "Brother, your sister, my sister has a bad temper." Qin Feiyang chuckled. Lin Yi couldn't help but roll her eyes when she heard this. "If I didn't feel your murderous intent, would I make a move? It's not a problem of temper, but her strength." The 2 were surprised and doubtful. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I forgot to tell you that my sister was born with extraordinary talent, so her strength is quite strong." When the 2 heard this, they looked at each other. "Just quite strong. Isn't this too modest? This aura has definitely reached the strength of the great perfection dominator realm." They really misjudged. They didn't expect this so-called country bumpkin in their eyes to hide such a terrifying cultivation. When Shen Xiaojia recovered from her shock, she was also shocked. Although she used to live in the Shen family village, she had seen the world when Qin Feiyang and others fought with the king and the others over the Shen family village. At this moment, the aura revealed by Lin Yi was more than the great perfection dominator realm. It was comparable to the giants of the major forces. So, this brother and sister are definitely not a nobody, let alone a country bumpkin. You are presumptuous. How dare you make a move in my Tianyue restaurant? The waiter recovered from his shock and immediately glared at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. Noisy. Lin Yi turned her head abruptly. An invisible oppression was overwhelming. The shop assistant spurted blood on the spot, flew out, and smashed into the counter behind. With a cracking sound, the counter shattered, and the wine jars on it fell to the ground. Reckless fool, I've tolerated you for a long time. Lin Yi glanced at the shop assistant contemptuously, then looked at Theta Wang Chuan and the others again. What do you want? We are disciples of the Devil Palace. Senior brother Wang is a core disciple of the Devil Palace. The 7 of them couldn't help but tremble as they shouted in fear. Lin Yi sneered, don't talk about you mere disciples. Even if your demon palace's law enforcers come, I will still kill them. Hearing those words, everyone present couldn't help but be stunned. Even the enforcers of the Devil Palace were killed. How much strength and guts did one need to be in order to say such arrogant words? What happened? What happened? At this moment, accompanied by a hurried roar, a figure hurriedly ran into the restaurant. The steward is back. You are dead meat. When the shop assistant saw this person, he immediately got up and smiled viciously at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. He immediately ran to the steward and shouted, Steward, they are making trouble in our Tianyue restaurant. Making trouble in our Tianyue restaurant? When the steward heard this, he immediately raised his eyebrows and looked up at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. You, steward, should be taught a lesson. Lin Yi's eyes surged with cold light, and an invisible coercion oppressed the steward. Puff! The steward also spurted a mouthful of blood and stepped back again and again. His face was pale. So strong. The steward's eyes trembled. After stabilizing his footsteps, he quickly cupped his hands and said, Tianyue Restaurant's chief steward, Li Si, greets this young lady. Although I don't know what happened, please calm down. Li Si. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Why does this name sound a bit familiar? Brother Feiyang, don't tell me you know him. Lin Yi transmitted her voice. This name is indeed a bit familiar, but I have no impression of this person at all. Qin Feiyang murmured. Lin Yi smirked secretly and said, Since you have no impression, then I will help you Qing and Yi Miao teach these underlings a lesson. Qin Feiyang laughed involuntarily. But suddenly, he stopped Lin Yi, looked at the steward suspiciously, and asked, Are you from Tianyue Restaurant in Qianshan City in the North Continent? N. The steward looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise and asked, How do you know? It's really you. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Have you seen me before? Are you also from Qianshan City in the North Continent? The steward was suspicious. I am not. Qin Feiyang shook his head. In fact, he didn't know this person. He just heard Demon Ancestor and others mention it. Li Si was originally not in the East Continent, but in Qianshan City in the North Continent. Qianshan City was a very small city. At that time, Li Si was an unknown waiter in Tianyue Restaurant in Qianshan City. According to Demon Ancestor and others, when the Tianyun realm and the Divine Kingdom held a friendly competition, Ryuko and Jiang Yunshuang wanted to kill Demon Ancestor, Mu Tianyang, Dong Xingyang, and Mu Qing, and sent a young man to monitor them. As a result, in order to find their old enemy, Demon Ancestor and the others entered Qianshan City and found this person following them. They happened to enter Tianyue Restaurant and met Li Si. At that time, Demon Ancestor asked Li Si to help tease this young man from the Divine Kingdom. This Li Si was really a talent. He took an ordinary jade bottle as a family heirloom and finally forced the young man from the Divine Kingdom to kneel and apologize in public. Seeing that this person was so clever, Demon Ancestor and others specially mentioned him when they met Yuqing later. It was because Li Si teased the young man from the Divine Kingdom and forced him to kneel and apologize that Qin Feiyang found it very interesting. So when he heard Demon Ancestor and others mention this matter, Qin Feiyang had a special impression of it. He just didn't expect that after not seeing him for so many years, such a young waiter would actually come to Cloud Sea City and become the manager of Tianjue restaurant. It seemed that this person's ability was really good. Because if this person's ability wasn't good enough, even with the care of Demon Ancestor and others, Yuqing wouldn't have let this person manage the Tianjue restaurant. After all, the manager of the main store was below one person and above everyone else. Wait a moment. I believe Demon Ancestor and the others won't be wrong. Qin Feiyang secretly said to Lin Yi, and then looked at Li Si and asked, as the manager here, don't you stay in Tianjue restaurant to look after it? No, no. It just so happens that I need to go out for some business today. I usually stay in the store. But I didn't expect such a big thing to happen soon after I left. Please calm down. After I investigate, I will give you a satisfactory explanation. Li Si said. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked at Lin Yi, and said with a smile, you explain to the manager how this waiter flattered Theta Wang Chuan and how he drove us out of Tianjue restaurant. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. She felt that it was completely unnecessary. But since Qin Feiyang wanted to do this, he must have his reasons. In fact, Qin Feiyang's purpose was very simple. He just wanted to see if this Li Si would deal with it impartially. If he would, Demon Ancestor and others really didn't misjudge. But if this person abused his position for personal gain, then don't blame him for being impolite. After all, he also contributed to the establishment of Tianjue restaurant. After a while, Lin Yi finished explaining the whole process. Li Si turned his head to look at the waiter. His face was full of anger. The waiter quickly knelt on the ground and said in horror, Sir Manager, I was forced to do it. You didn't quibble. That really surprised me. Li Si's eyes were gloomy. When the waiter heard this, he couldn't help but want to cry. With so many people witnessing it, how dare he quibble? Who forced you to do it? Li Si asked. It must be Theta Wang Chuan. If I don't listen to him, I won't have a good time. The waiter said quickly. Li Si said angrily, if you don't listen to him, you won't have a good time. Is he so powerful? The waiter wanted to cry but had no tears. Li Si said, I don't want to hear anything else now. Just tell me, what do I usually tell you? The waiter quickly said, you said that when we do business in Tianjue restaurant, we must be honest and fair. We can't go against our conscience and treat the customer as God. You still remember? But what are you doing now? The siblings are guests of Tianjue restaurant. They were bullied in Tianjue restaurant. As a member of Tianjue restaurant, not only did you not protect them, you even helped the troublemakers to drive them away. I want to ask you, who gave you the authority to do this? Li Si shouted. I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Sir Manager, please give me another chance. The waiter was terrified. You ruined the reputation of Tianjue restaurant and you want me to give you another chance. You should be very lucky that I didn't kill you. Get out of here right now. From now on, you are not allowed to take half a step into Tianjue restaurant. Li Si pointed at the door and shouted. Sir Manager, the waiter looked up at Li Si, his eyes full of pleading. Get out. Li Si shouted, killing intent flashing. The waiter shuddered and hurriedly ran out, tears of regret flowing down his face. Although he was only a waiter in Tianjue restaurant, one must know that Tianjue restaurant had become the fifth force in the Sky Cloud realm. Even if he was just a small waiter, he could still get a lot of benefits. Moreover, as long as he was willing to work hard, there was still a great future. Just like Li Si, who was originally an inconspicuous waiter, but now he had become the manager of the main store, his status was second only to the two building masters. What kind of status and glory was this? But because of a moment's mistake, he lost all of this. Not bad. Qin Feiyang muttered. I'm really sorry, both of you. I really didn't expect that my waiter in Tianyue restaurant would do such a thing. I apologize to both of you on his behalf. Li Si walked to the front of Qin Feiyang and cupped his hands and said. It's okay. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and secretly laughed. Back then, the demon ancestor and the others really didn't misjudge you. You are indeed a talent. Follow Yue Qin Yi Miao well and they will not treat you badly in the future. Demon ancestor. Li Si's gaze trembled as he raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Moreover, he called the two building masters by their names. Who was this person? Chapter 43-33. Now, in the Tianyun realm, only the dragons, Feng people, and Kirin clan dared to call the two tower masters by their names, excluding the giants of various forces. Could it be, this pair of brother and sister came from the three major races? If they were from the three major races, then they couldn't afford to be negligent. Although the status of the human race in the Tianyun realm had improved with the help of Qin Feiyang and others, it was still far from the three major races. The most obvious difference was the foundation of the human race and the three major races. It would take many years to catch up with the foundation of the three major races. The shop assistant was expelled. Many people appreciated Li Si's approach. Because at least it proved that the manager of the Tianyue building was not a person who fawned over the powerful. However, appreciation was appreciation. Theta Wang Chuan and the others were still there, but they didn't dare to show it. After all, they were afraid of offending the seven people. Theta Wang Chuan looked at Li Si, then looked at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. A hint of resentment flashed in his eyes. He looked at the other six people and said in a deep voice, "Let's go." He had nothing to do with the shop assistant, but in this situation, Li Si expelled the shop assistant, which was tantamount to slapping his face. He would remember this debt. Wait. But at this moment, Li Si stopped the seven people. Is there anything else? Theta Wang Chuan turned his head and stared at Li Si. His eyes were burning with anger. The next time you come to my Tianyue building, please remember to make a reservation in advance. Don't make such a joke again. Moreover, my Tianyue building is not specially opened for your demon hall. Even if you are the core disciples of Demon Hall, in my eyes, you are no different from others. You are all guests of my Tianyue building. I treat you all equally. Also, let me give you a piece of advice. The next time you come to my Tianyue building, don't be so arrogant. Others are afraid of you Demon Hall disciples, but my Tianyue building is not. You will slowly understand the reason. When you leave, settle the bill by the way. After Li Si finished speaking, he looked at the seven people expressionlessly. Others are afraid of Demon Hall disciples, but Tianyue building is not. This sentence was full of meaning. Li Si was indirectly telling the seven of them not to think about taking revenge on the Tianyue Tower because the backer behind the Tianyue Tower was the same as the backer behind the Devil Hall, Qin Feiyang. Even the big shots of your Demon Hall have to be polite to the Heavenly Joy Pavilion, let alone you mere disciples. Theta Wang Chuan stared darkly at Li Si. He took out a pile of soul stones and threw them on the table. Then, he led the other six people and left without a word. After the seven people left, the surrounding guests could not help but give Li Si a thumbs up. In the meantime, the way he looked at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi also changed. This was a form of awe. Of course. There was also a trace of doubt. Who exactly were these siblings? A woman who looked so delicate actually possessed such terrifying strength. Once again, I'm sorry. Li Si turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang and the other man. He cupped his hands and smiled. I'm fine. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Shen Xiaojia walked over, bowed, and said, I also apologize to the two of you on behalf of the Devil Hall. This has nothing to do with you. After all, no matter where it is, there are always some black sheep. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Thank you. When I return to the Devil Hall, I will immediately report this matter to the law enforcers above. I hope the 7 of them can get the punishment they deserve. Shen Xiaojia said. Hope. Lin Yi was slightly taken aback and said suspiciously, they despised the creatures of the eastern continent so much. According to the rules, they must be severely punished to restore the reputation of the Devil Hall. Why do you say they are hope? It's a long story. Shen Xiaojia shook her head and sighed. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and looked at Shen Xiaojia with a smile. Theta Wangchuan is not a good person. You have to keep your eyes open. There was a hint of concern in his words. Thank you for your kind reminder, big brother. But I have never had a good impression of this person. The reason why I came to the Tianyue Tower this time is purely because we are from the same sect. Shen Xiaojia smiled. That's good. Qin Feiyang breathed a sigh of relief. He was afraid that this girl would be bewitched by his sweet words. If there's nothing else, I will go back first. Shen Xiaojia said. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Shen Xiaojia smiled at Lin Yi and Li Si again, then turned and walked away quickly. Brother, you are too disloyal. Your sister is so powerful, but you didn't tell us. You made us worry for so long. The young man in black and the young man in white immediately surrounded Yi Shiwen with a hint of displeasure. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Brothers, don't be angry. My sister likes to keep a low profile. I can't do anything about it. The young man in white pouted, glanced at the guests around, and asked in a low voice, Brother, should we continue to sit in the Tianyue Tower or go to the western continent now? Let's sit for a while. Qin Feiyang chuckled. But, the young man in white hesitated. Are you afraid that they will find someone to take revenge? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. N. The young man in white nodded and whispered, this Theta Wangchuan is not a kind person at first glance. We should stay away from him. It's okay. As long as I am here, they won't dare to mess around even if they have a few guts. The 4 of you can eat and drink without worry. Furthermore, to express my apologies, all of your expenses today will be on me. Li Si said. The young man in white was still a little worried. Since the steward said so, what are we afraid of? We can meet in the vast sea of people. Now, we have been through thick and thin together. This is the fate given to us by God. We can't let down God's good intentions. Let's go. Let's continue drinking. Qin Feiyang dragged the 2 of them and walked toward the table with pride. The 2 looked at each other and smiled helplessly. They could only sit down again. Lin Yi looked at this scene and couldn't help but shake her head and laugh. It seems that Brother Feiyang appreciates these 2 people very much. Li Si had been looking at Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi. His eyes were full of suspicion. Who are they? After the 4 of them were seated, he looked at a few waiters not far away and ordered, hurry up and tidy up the hall. While you're at it, tell the kitchen to add a few dishes and jugs of wine so that these 4 guests can eat and drink to their heart's content. Yes. Several guys immediately got busy. Calm gradually returned to the hall. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, 2 brothers, I haven't asked your names yet. Your names. The 2 of them looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Brother, aren't you making fun of us? We are just 2 little people. What's the point of asking for our names? Don't look down on yourself so much. Maybe you can become someone like Theta Wangchuan in the future, or even better than them. Qin Feiyang smiled. Stop. I don't like to hear that. What do you mean by becoming someone like him? People with bad intentions like him will suffer retribution. The young man in white glared at Qin Feiyang with dissatisfaction. Ugh. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He quickly waved his hand and said, "Brother, you misunderstood me. I mean his strength. I believe that the strength and status of the two brothers in the future will definitely not be worse than him. It turns out to be like this. I thought you said that we will become villains like him in the future." The young man in white laughed dryly, pondered for a while, and sighed, but then again, although Theta Wang Chuan's character is not good, his talent and strength are really good. I am afraid it will never be possible to catch up with him or surpass him. And although we also want to make a name for ourselves, this is something that we know ourselves well enough to do. The young man in black nodded. So unconfident. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Both of their personalities and conduct were top-notch. The only thing lacking was their self-confidence. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "If one day. I mean if the two brothers can become an overlord one day, will you still fight for injustice and uphold justice like today?" "Of course. If you start to be selfish when you become stronger, how can you still be considered a powerhouse? The responsibility of the powerhouse is to protect the weak and maintain peace." The two spoke without thinking and hesitation. Their words were sonorous and firm. Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi looked at each other. These were the talents that should be cultivated. People like Theta Wang Chuan were just a facade. Lin Yi smiled and said, "When the two brothers become successful in the future, don't forget us siblings." When the two heard this, they didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The young man in white looked at Qin Feiyang and shook his head. "Brother, your sister took it seriously." "Huh, who can predict what will happen in the future?" Qin Feiyang laughed heartily. Lin Yi had not been so happy for a long time. She even accompanied the two young men to drink and teased, "After talking for a long time, it seems that I didn't say your names. Are the two brothers some big shots? Don't dare to reveal your real name." "Big shots?" The two smiled bitterly again. The young man in white said, "My name is Su Ren, and he is Fang Xian. We have known each other for many years. Although we are not blood brothers, we are no different from blood brothers." Su Ren, Fang Xian, Lin Yi pondered for a while, looked at the two and said, "Your two names add up to Ren Xian. No wonder you have such good personalities. It turns out that you have good names." "Good names?" Su Ren and Fang Xian looked at each other, then looked at Qin Feiyang and shook their heads. "Your sister is really humorous." "Huh," Qin Feiyang laughed. "This girl is indeed more cheerful than when she was in the ancient world. It seems that little rabbit has been well taken care of in Sky Cloud Island all these years." The young man in black, Fang Xian, said, "Don't just tell us our names. What about you and your sister? Don't tell us that you are nameless." "We," Qin Feiyang and Lin Yi looked at each other and smiled, "we are really nameless." Su Ren's mouth twitched, and he said speechlessly, "Brother, you are a bit dishonest. We have already told you, but you still hide it from us." This, Qin Feiyang was about to speak. Boom! But at this moment, a powerful aura descended over the Tianyue building. There was a murderous aura in the aura. You're tuning into the Hanli's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.